showing the dog made my Zoom crash.
Yes,
Oh no.
yes.
Yeah, he likes to participate when I cook,
Yeah.
like a lot.
I can't see her right now.
But his favorite thing when I cook is bean sprouts.
Her name is
Bean sprout.
Avra.
Awesome.
Evie.
You know,
He-
my dog loves oranges and grapefruits.
I've never heard that before.
He pitches a fit if I'm cooking vegetables and I don't give it to him.
Should I take my notes?
And zucchini. He doesn't like raw zucchini, but he likes cooked zucchini.
That's okay.
Picky.
Yes, very.
Mhm.
I haven't muted me yet. You haven't muted me yet.
Mine is an old boy, you know, because it's 10 years old. So right now he, in boxers there, it's very old. So he eats when he wants. He's totally spoiled.
Yeah.
Nah, he living in an apartment has made him into a chunker, as I call him.
Really?
Yeah, he used to be very lean and muscular, and now he's
Now
like,
it's all chunky monkey.
Mine is also a chunky boy.
my mom keeps feeding him kolaches,
Kolaches.
and he shouldn't be
Good
having
morning,
that.
everybody.
Good morning, Maya.
Yeah.
This is SYZDEK. That's the bird's last name. What is that? Where does that derive from? What's that? Oh,
I have a phone interview today with Advanced in Professionalisms in Austin.
Nice. That's awesome.
that's something. Yeah, something about. I'm gonna do a class on Zoom from. I got an email yesterday. Business. No, applied science. Anyways.
I'll hook you up with all that.
Look at Lauren's dog.
That's so cute.
And
Heard your name.
It's her dog. It's the other Lauren. Oh, he's cute. Oh, she disappeared.
Her name is Daenerys Targaryen.
There's Dogarian.
Targaryen. my boy called its name is Floyd Pepper.
Troy Pepper.
It smells good.
Because I watched it twice.
My brown one's name is Griffin for Gryffindor, and then the Frenchie's name is Sirius Black, because, you know, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
That's funny.
Heck yes.
Did you tell him?
Someone got a baby cat yesterday. Maya? Maya, did you get a baby cat?
yeah,
Or a baby kitten?
yeah. I named her Journey because he's gonna go on this journey with me.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
Will you put these up there?
We are a bunch of animal lovers in this class.
Yes, we are. I should show my spider too.
You know, I have a good friend of mine that that have this cat called Huey, and the cat was very old. I don't know, 20 more years old, and So he get blind, and he was getting and he has kidney problem. That's what it was, and they give him drugs all the time. So he was all day stoned, the cat, and not, the cat normally has this little poop pile. This
Yeah.
cat has big black round poop piles. It was like crazy,
Yeah, I also have two
Always
cats and
stoned.
another dog somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Like, both know I received my shift code already. No fair. Maybe mine will come in today. Well, I hope that my laptop from school, maybe that'll have Bluetooth on it.
More than likely.
It's your turn, right? Yes, it is.
Cameron said he's going to get a cat next year. Good.
That's good. The animals are the best teachers. They teach us how to love.
Yes, they do.
It's just amazing.
Good. Learn more from there. Okay. Two ways about
I completely agree with that.
Sometimes I'm just just thinking there and return and see my dog, and he's looking at me like with his eyes of love. That is just amazing,
Yep.
berries and things that a bear can eat, a human can eat as well. So the Indians used to observe what different animals would eat. Because if it's okay for them, it's generally okay for humans.
Yeah.
And that's how they got a lot of their, like using tree bark for medicinal purposes and things like that.
Tree bark?
Yeah.
What's a tree bark?
Well, I mean, if you see a bear eating tree bark, he's probably got it upset. He ate something didn't settle.
Like a dog eating grass.
That's exactly right. That's how they learned what was good for us to eat, how to heal ourselves, and that kind of business. That's cool. Shamans.
We have a good crowd today, Chef.
Yes, I'm getting the attendance right now.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Eric.
How we doing,
Morning.
bro?
Doing great. How about you?
Excellent, excellent. Enjoying the day, man. Enjoying the day.
Lyric. And Derek, but with an L instead of a D. Like when they're just regular chatting about different stuff that he knows.
Is he also a cook or something? Or is
I
he
think
running?
Hey guys, thank y'all so much for sending all your 5-year plans and everything else. I've been trying to reply thank you or something. So if I have not replied to you, please reach out to me. I want to make sure that, I'm saying thank you just so you know that I got it and received it. So if you have not gotten a reply back to me, maybe just send it back to me or send it to me again, just to make sure.
Hi, Joe. So guys, before we start classes, just I want to share two wonderful news that we have here in the school. And one of those news is that I think since October, I think it's gonna happen. The school is gonna open the pastry program for college. So that's fantastic, isn't it, Chef?
So we're gonna open up the pastry?
Yes, it's
Nice.
open. Finally, we get all the license. And one more thing, which is amazing, we open a course, which is restaurant management. So you can when you graduate, you can get a certification also, and how to manage a business restaurant. So that's awesome. That will will really round you as a cook, as a person, as in a business, as a chef. This is just something that is amazing. That is just really incredible. And I want to talk to I think it's something that happened to us. 9 years ago, we started our online program, a culinary online program, and people think that we were crazy. And says, how are you going to teach culinary arts online? You're crazy. And we started to develop the program. And, after 9 years, we have like, let me tell you, a state-of-the-art program. It's probably one of the best culinary online programs in the world, if it's not the best. And boom, COVID-19 happened. The rest of the schools, they were not prepared, and we are completely prepared to jump, no problem, to these programs with all the system that is already started. We just do the transition in a very smooth way. So that was incredible, don't you think, Chef?
I completely agree, because all the other culinary schools had to shut down, and they're just now starting back up, everywhere else. And we've been just kind of going on.
Yeah.
For sure.
The one thing I like about this school is the fact that we actually get a Christmas break. Because my last school, we got 1 day for Thanksgiving and 1 day for Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, so I got a trip planned. So do I got to cancel this like $1,000 trip? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, then you jump to jobs, to start working in the culinary industry, and you will probably never again gonna have breaks on Christmas or New Year's Eve, because those days are the ones that we work most probably.
The most. Yeah, both my old job and the school, like, it was an act to go on Christmas break.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was working 11 hours a day as a mechanic, so.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Busy.
This is something that I'm telling you, I have no problem to work. I don't count the hours when I work. If you enjoy what you're doing, it's just like it's not a job, it's
not work.
Yeah.
It's like
I liked it.
Something that you like it to do. So more that you stay there, more that you like. So you have to when you have family, you have to be very careful, that you have to that you dedicate some time to the family and not be all the time in the cooking. And this is something that happened to me. My children were grow in the restaurants, playing with the tables, and getting outside to visit me because I was all day working. It was just crazy. Maybe it happened to Chef Cliff.
Yes, it did. That's why. Yes.
I had no free time with this job. Like, we barely had the weekends because sometimes they'd be like, hey, we're going to work like 60-hour work weeks. So come on Saturday.
Wow.
So we are very excited, Lauren, that you're coming to Austin too.
For sure.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited. Wait.
And today we're gonna see, there's few amazing things about Austin, like wages, the wages here are higher than other parts of the country. So that's in the top of the list for people who really want to work and get money here. So yeah, opportunities are I think are better here than other parts of the country that are really suffering from depression. And Austin is such a beautiful city to be, you know, and it has so much to see, and there's music, and there's a lot of young people around. We have to take very careful of our students, because sometimes they just go and they just blow their minds, and they are partying all time and getting on downtown, spending the money that should spend in the school, you know, having fun, and then they get into trouble. So, but yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And you know, there's all kind of things to do, and you know, it's a little different of the rest of the country, because we have a lot of hill countries and greens and mountains and rivers and creeks and all that is close, you know, and little lakes, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I probably won't move to Austin unless y'all are like, we're coming in class, so you got to come here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because financially, after quitting my 11-hour job for school, because they didn't want to work around my class schedule.
Oh, they didn't?
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, you have class? Yeah, so you either got to quit or just not go to school. And I was like, bye.
Well, but you are doing an invest of yourself, and then you're not gonna regret it. You're gonna be happy at the end.
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy, you know.
I'm gonna have my degrees are gonna be very, very, very different.
Yeah.
I have one for automotive, and then after this, I'll have one for culinary.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Be very versed. You know, you got a lot of choices.
Yeah.
We have people, guys. From this class, somebody comes from the military area.
Yeah.
Being a mechanic.
Guys,
I said I can fix my food truck.
thumbs up if somebody of you come from the military area. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nice. Great. So yeah, nowadays, you know, and on my time, the idea, this was how I grow, maybe Chef Cliff too. They says, you know, well, if you graduate from college and you go and get your degree, for sure you're gonna have a job and everything is gonna be fine. That's how they grow as ours, that probably your parents. That's not happening anymore, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people, and the world is so competitive. So you need more and more tools. You graduate from universities and colleges, and it's like okay, the jobs are still low pay and all that. You need to get another degree, specialize in something, and the education keep going and keep going. So guys, we're gonna start right now, guys. So. First, guys, thank you so much for coming. You know, that chat is burning right now with the information which we love, and just want to say hello to everybody, and welcome to day number 4 or 29. And what we're trying to do is give you as much as we can information, and try to make you understand. Don't forget, if you don't understand something, stop the class, and we will make you go around until we're sure that you will understand the process. Second, guys, we really appreciate that you send the homeworks to Chef Cliff, and he is answer everybody saying, you know, thank you, we receive your information. And we're gonna discuss a little bit, we're gonna read it during today, and we're gonna talk about that tomorrow. And today, guys, we're gonna get to a very interesting part of this restaurant adventure, guys, and is about the hiring process.
For hiring and salaries.
And we're gonna talk about salaries, and we're gonna dedicate 2 days to that, today and tomorrow. And then we're gonna talk about, you know, from the point of view of the people who is hiring, from the point of view of the company. We're gonna talk about orientation. We're gonna talk about training, all that process, you know. And at the end, if we have time, we're gonna get into the spreadsheets, but that for me is not the priority. The priority is understand all this process, that how we going, and also, guys, make you put attention on laws that we have here in Texas and things about salaries that probably you will be very interested to know how much is the minimum wage, how they pay it, and all that, which is very, very interesting. So let's start. But before we get into that place, I think that it's important to make a little review of what happened yesterday. And the main issue is, you know, we can avoid it right now with the automatic system in the restaurant industry is something that is just there, is so important, and it's happening, isn't it? And but this is my question, guys. Who can tell me 3 benefits to have a POS in the restaurant business? Nathan.
Well, it's simpler, faster, and easier to track your money.
Good. Perfect. What about Mina? You want me to repeat the question, Mina?
Oh.
She's writing, Chef.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing attendance. My bad. Hold on. I don't think her microphone. She's saying I don't think my microphone is working right now.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes,
hello.
we hear you.
Yes, we hear you.
There's like less room for human error. And,
Yes.
You can like track your ingredients easier, and like you can have security on there too.
Great. Sen. What about Christopher? Christopher? Unmute, please. There you are.
Like they both said, it's easy to track your money. You can automatically apply or go through reservations. You can track what inventory you currently have so you aren't giving out an item suggestion that's out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And in this day and age with COVID at the moment, you don't have to be right next to another person.
Yep, that's perfect. Cameron.
You can use to create a better communication line through the front of the house and the back of the house with incoming orders and.
That is completely true. You can have you know the tickets coming to every station as fast as it is. Yes.
You don't have to deal with messy handwritings, and it's easier to make out any extra or differences made to the dish.
And that avoids mistakes, isn't it? Because when you're writing, sometimes people don't understand your writing.
Yeah.
Chef Trevon said saves time and money, improves customer experience.
That's for sure.
Ruben says tracks your inventory and your sales and your price and discounts.
Yep. And you know we can have a lot of data from the POS, you know, and the most important thing of the POS is that you can have that information on time at any time. The information is there. You can click it and the information is there. And the only thing that you have to be careful is that you have to give the system, you know, true information, because if you put trash in the system, you're gonna have trash on the back, isn't it? So, and another thing with the systems is also that people need to be trained how to hold the systems. As example, you know, if we count we need to have a standard procedure system and the kitchens and all that, so everybody comes smooth and every plate has the same size, the same portions, and all that, so we can count it and we know for sure there is accountability on that. If the things that come in like that, it's going to be a messy no matter what system you have. So implement a system is nothing if you really don't put yourself into the field and make sure that you have the procedures that go with the system. Don't you think, Chef?
That is correct. You need the system and the procedures.
So on this field, we're going to talk tomorrow about that, but training is one of the most critical things on these things, that you need to have a well-trained team that really know how to deal with the whole system and put the information correctly and all that, so you can have all that update and on time and on point, and it's just like like a Swiss clock, perfect. Yes, so then you have to be careful, it depends on the size of the system. We talked yesterday. It's what kind of software and hardware you have to choose, and that depends on your budget, that depends of the movement that you have, that depends of how the growing that you spend to have, and all that. So yeah, and but I always say, if you get into the system, try to get the best of that, because if you have the best systems, you will have the best information. If you have crappy systems, they're going to hang out, they're going to give you trouble, So sometimes the cheapest is not the best on these circumstances. Don't you think, guys?
For sure.
So
cheapest
then,
not always the best.
Cheapest in this kind of thing is not always the best, yes.
Yeah.
So, and one of the big issues that we have right now on the restaurant business is the reservation system. And who can tell me what are the benefits to have a reservation system in the restaurant industry? Let's go, guys.
Christopher has his hand up.
Okay, Christopher.
Oh, no.
No, okay.
Down.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes. Go ahead.
It's easier on the customer to not have to hop through, press 2, press 3.
Yes.
And deal with that. You get 24-hour availability of knowing if you're available to make a reservation or not. And you don't have a single person just sitting at the phone waiting for just that one purpose.
Perfect. That's
area.
correct. Bella.
Normally with things online, like if a customer wants to cancel or change something, it's easier, like what Christopher said, than sitting at the phone, like with that process.
That's completely true. Cameron.
It gives easier access to your customers to get a reservation into your restaurant, and it will let you more easily track when your reservations are and how many you have if it's all automated.
And what will be a disadvantage to have a reservation system?
Well, they might not all show up to your reservation, to their reservation.
Yes, yes.
These are all good things in the chat. Sean says it makes it easier, 24-hour stay, 7 days a week. You don't have to have anybody do the phone. Lyric said it's easy to fill the tables if you have a reservation center or a reservation. Easier to track reservations. So yeah, all of these are good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Richard, what kind of hardware we can have on the POS? What type of hardware we can find in the POS systems? Richard.
Let's see.
Richard, are you hearing me? Richard Brown, are you hearing me?
Sorry, repeat the question.
What type of hardware we have on the business for the POS systems?
For our specific business, I personally, when I worked in restaurants, I personally always dealt with the computer type. But there are other ones. There's definitely, you know, like a lot of times for our reservation system, we use an iPad. You'll be able to see who's on the iPad, see the reservation on the iPad, or a tablet of some sort. I mean, you could possibly use a phone, but it's very rare and definitely not our line of business. I've seen the phone used in like places that do haircuts and stuff like that.
Yeah. So handhelds are also very easy, you know, especially for the servers need to take orders. They can have that system, you know, and also today on this pandemic, we have systems, you know, on POS that you can go and do the purchases without has to get in touch of the cashier, isn't it? Yep.
Yes.
So today's topic is going to be about hiring, the process of hiring people. And this is a very important process on part of the business plan and on part of the operation system of a restaurant. And normally there's a lot of people involved on this, isn't it? And the hiring is kind of a part of the culture of what the business has to offer to the people who are coming to work. So let's put it this way, guys. The restaurant business is one of the biggest employers in the United States of America. As in numbers, isn't it? There's millions of people that right now are working, and they begin in their careers, you know, and they help with their careers by working in the restaurant industries. You know, you see like tons of actors right now that are famous and says, what did you do before you become a famous actor? I was a waiter, I was a service, I was a busboy, you know. Everybody was working. There's in the industry a lot of people right now that they start working, you know, making money on the industry by working in the restaurants. And then they get to specialization and then they work and they get in a more professional way. So yeah, that's something that it's just awesome. I think every city right now is growing, and it depends on where you are. There's cities that there are more foodies, you know, and restaurants. The big cities, you see more of that, you know, more diversity in the way that people like food. There's more foodie people, and the capacity of the restaurants to offer to the public different type of specialties is just awesome. Like if you go to New York, if you go to Dallas, or if you come to Austin right now, that is changing because, you know, I come, you know, like 15 years ago, they were not like this. It was a little less restricted, the amount of restaurants that we used to have here in Austin. Right now is like a boom of all kind of food, you know, that they are offering, you know, and there are companies coming from all over to sit here in Austin because that what a city has to offer. So finding the best people to fill the positions in a restaurant is kind of a difficult task, isn't it? And yesterday we hear that, and one of the most hardest thing to find is people who is engaged with the company, isn't it? That people that we can rely on, that we know for sure that they're gonna stay, is they're not gonna just one day say bye-bye and leave the position, you know, that do have responsibility and all that. But to do that also, we have to create a culture that reward the individual, you know, that help the individual to grow, not just one side view of what the business is. You know, I expect that from you, but what are you expecting from us? That's also something that is very, very important. Every position in the restaurant industry, it has their own specific duties, their own responsibilities, and they are so important on the success of the business. For me, and I'm agreed completely with Chef Flip, you know, the executive chef is as important as the person who is doing washing dishes in the restaurant, because we depend on each other. Don't you think, Chef?
For sure. The dishwasher, I feel, is one of the most important jobs in there, because if we don't have clean dishes, we can't serve food.
So yeah, so that is very crucial, you know, to have the right people in the right position. So that is easy to tell, the hardest to do. So I'm going to show you this. Okay, let me go that. Up a minute, let me show you a movie. Sorry, Jeff. This is not cooperating with me. Okay.
While he's doing that, I started reading some of your 5-year plans. They're great. I love it. It's always nice to hear what people want to do, you know, and all of that. So thank you. It's going to take me a little while to read them all. So just kind of give me, you know, I'm going to start working on them today, and I started working this morning on them. Y'all are doing a great job. Thank you. And while he's doing that as well, if you ever need the videos that I record, like yesterday, it was like a 4-hour class. I recorded it and placed it in on the portal. And if you go, okay, he's got it. I'll show you later where it is.
Okay, here you are.
About 4 years ago, I decided to open a restaurant. Quite what I was doing or where to begin. All I knew was that I was going to need help, and a lot of it. In fact, that was my biggest concern at the time. How would I ever convince anyone to come work with me? And with the restaurant industry's notorious turnover rate, how would I get them to stay? From my own personal experience, I've seen restaurants turn over staff anywhere from 2 to 5 times in as little as the first 6 months. So I reached out to one of my oldest and closest friends and asked for help. He wasn't in the restaurant business at the time, but I knew he was the right man for the job. When it came to restaurants, we shared the same ideas and beliefs. But more importantly, the same was true when it came to people. So back in 2011, we set out and began to build our team. One by one, we found 25 other people willing to join us, many of whom are still with us today, 4 years later. And if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry, you know restaurant years are like dog years. Every one feels like 7. So fast forward to today. We're about to turn 2 years old. We've gone from 27 to 64 staff members. In our first year, both Bon Appetit and GQ magazine named us best new restaurant in America. And to this day, people still line up outside the restaurant before we open, hoping to get a seat. So how did we get here? And how did we do so in such a short period of time? I can honestly say that it is 100% due to our employees. Our talented, ambitious, caring, passionate, and well-dressed employees. That was New Year's Eve. As a chef, it's strange to say this, but I often remind our staff that our food only accounts for 40% of what we do. Sure, we have to nail 39.5% of it, but at the end of the day, our success is dependent upon our people. If there's one thing that I've learned over the past 4 years, it's that we're not in the restaurant business, we're in the people business. So let's go back to when we opened. I thought we had a pretty good chance that we'd be at least somewhat successful. I mean, we had good food, good service, good atmosphere, and we were charging a pretty fair price. And when we opened, we were a hit. We even made a profit in our first month. Mind you, it was only about $750, but for a restaurant, that's actually pretty good. But as time went on, I started to think, maybe we weren't really in the restaurant industry. I started to think, maybe we were in the hospitality industry. I mean, our end goal was not to serve good food or provide good service. Our end goal was to make guests feel good. Our food, our service, those were just the tools we used to make the people happy. They were the means to our end. So as the praise and the awards continued, I started to wonder, is there something more that was helping us achieve such success? I mean, other people had obviously figured out that the restaurant industry wasn't about serving food. It was about hospitality. Danny Meyer even wrote a New York Times bestseller about it. So why were we receiving such unusually large amounts of praise? After asking myself what made us different, I realized it wasn't our food or our service. It wasn't even our hospitality. It was our people. Our people were the reason we had been so successful. Think about it. What makes a business great? Very simply, it's the quality of the product or the service they provide. But who creates those products and services? It's the people who work there. It's the housekeeper who cleans the house. It's the designer who creates the logo. And it's the coffee roaster who roasts the beans. It's those people that make a business great. It's those people that make a business, a product or service, what it is. And the same is true for a restaurant. The food, the service, the decor, those are just the products that a restaurant sells. But it's the people who work there that create and deliver those products. A restaurant needs good chefs to conceptualize, create, and execute its dishes. It needs good bartenders to create delicious cocktails. It needs gracious hosts to welcome the guests. And it needs friendly servers to take care of them throughout the night. So the question becomes, how do you find these people? And once you do, how do you keep them? First, have really great hiring practices. It doesn't matter what business you're in. You need to know exactly what you're looking for. But more importantly, you need to know what you're not looking for. For example, when we're hiring, we always keep in mind that we're looking for people, not positions. We're looking for great people to join our team, not great people to complete a specific task. We don't look for people who have the necessary skills. We look for people who have the necessary desire. And what I mean by that is we look for people who have a strong desire to work with us. Anyone can be taught a skill or a task, but not just anyone can be inspired to care. We don't hire people because they can do a job. We hire people because they want to do a job. And those people are always worth 10 times more than someone with solely great experience. We don't look at resumes. We listen to references. A resume can tell you where someone's worked and how long they worked there, but what it can't tell you is what kind of person they are. To be honest, we haven't really looked at a resume in almost 2 years. And so far, we haven't regretted that decision once. In fact, quite the opposite. Some of our most successful staff members had little to no restaurant experience when they started. For example, one of our front of the house managers started as an unpaid intern almost a year ago with no restaurant experience. And today, she's second in command of the restaurant and a huge part of managing our daily operations. We look for people, not positions. We look for incredible people from all walks of life. We look for great personalities and attitudes. But in order to get these people, you have to create an environment that they want to be in, an environment that they're attracted to, a place that they want to go every day. We always put our people first. They're your main stakeholders. They're the core of your business, more so than your customers or even your investors. And in fact, if ever there was a secret to attracting and retaining great people, that's it. We all know the expression, good health is hard to find, but it's just not true. In fact, it's easy to find. What's hard to find is a good environment. And I like to think of our business as proof. We no longer have to go out looking for these incredible people anymore. They come looking for us. Turnover is no longer an issue. Yeah, in our first year, we lost like 3 to 5 of our opening staff, but we also gained 37 new team members. In fact, today, we have the opposite problem. We have too many people that we want to hire. So every once in a while, I find myself in this funny situation where I'll have the guest come up to me and say, thank you so much for an incredible meal. And I always say, no, thank you for coming. That I'll respond, I don't know why you're thanking me. I didn't do anything. I didn't take your order. I didn't greet you at the door. I didn't cook your steak, and I didn't pour your wine. In fact, I had nothing to do with your meal. And every time I say that, it reminds me that our business is nothing without the great people that we've collected. It reminds me that these people are the key to our success. So if you asked me 2 years ago what industry I'm in, I'd tell you the restaurant industry. But if you ask me today, I'd tell you I'm in the people industry. It just so happens I work in a restaurant. Thank you.
Wow, that was good.
Yeah.
Customer service industry, for sure, Larry.
Guys, I want to hear your opinions.
What do y'all think? Y'all can raise your hand.
Martin.
Well, one thing that I got is like when he said, you're not looking to fill out the positions, you gotta look for the right people. So you can't just hire random people to fill out one position. You gotta find the right people that can work that position and actually show that they can do it.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly. Cameron.
I think he has a really good perspective on it because, I mean, if you're in that position, you can easily just take the credit for yourself because it's your restaurant, it's your thing. But really giving the credit where credit is due it's a great thing to do.
Yes.
That is exactly right.
Eric.
So you're gonna fill the restaurants with random people anyways until you build that team that you really can depend on. You know, it's gonna be it's gonna be a hiring process of miscellaneous people and from all different sorts and all backgrounds, and everybody's gonna want to try to get in. However, until you have that full team outlook, it's gonna be something pretty difficult. It's just difficult to do something by yourself if you don't have the team. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and let me tell you this, you are completely right. And let me tell you this, before you start hiring the people, you have to be sure that you have, the first thing is you have a company that can offer something that will interesting that people to stay. So you need to have a culture on the back that really reward the person and they give you opportunities. If that don't happen, it will be very hard to find the people, don't you think?
For sure.
I like the hospitality part of it and not just serving people food.
That's completely correct. So we are in the business of people, and sometimes that is the wrong perspective, you know, and this is very common. So people come, so there's a lot of misconception in this business, guys, and because there is a lot of lack of professionalism and people who come to work on, or investors to want to start this business, they think that we are in the food business, and they try to impose a culture of food and things like that. When we are in the culture of people, in the culture of hosting people and make people happy, you know. So that's what I call culinary arts, guys. And we work with souls. So we are healers, don't you think?
Yes. People are putting on the chat, you know, it's a people-pleasing industry. You need to, it's a customer service industry, so you gotta make sure you take care of the customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's completely correct.
And Ruben wrote, look for people, not positions.
Yeah. So that's both, guys. You need to fill the position that people need to know something is a need to work in that position. But primarily, you need to find the right person who can do that. And they're available to do that in a way that that person enjoy it and do it. So as you see, you know, there is a lot of rotation here. In the first 6 months, you can have 30 to 40% of rotation on the staff of your restaurants. And that's what happened in general in the industry. Could you imagine that? So 6 or 5 to every 10 persons are going to move out of the company in the first 6 months. And that is a lot of effort that you put in to hire people. That means we are doing something wrong. And that wrong that we're doing is the process of hiring. Turnover in this industry is very high because we need to work, we need to put more attention in the process of hiring. What I'm talking is, you know, we have to work with talent, and we need to be sure that we have the people who have heart also to work in the company, but we have to offer a culture, don't you think, Chef?
For sure, a culture, you have to build a culture in the restaurant or in your business.
So there's many ways to hire people, guys. So if we have to start doing with the right food, isn't it? So you can hire a company that will in charge to do that. That's one thing, you know, and they will they will start making the job on posting applications and doing that, isn't it? And they bring you a portfolio of people that can work, and then you start deciding who has to hire or not, and you pay a fee for that company that is doing that. That's one thing. Is that something that I will do it personally? No, I will not do that because companies are sometimes disengaged with this process, and they just offer people, random people over there, and that's why we have this big rotation. You know, applicants, they use websites, social media. You can do all kind of things, you know, to be sure that you can get that. But for me, referrals are the first things, you know, get into the industry and be sure that you count with referrals. And referrals is that, so if you are into the industry, then the chefs know somebody who knows somebody, the cooks know somebody who knows somebody, and you can spread the words and you can start doing this process of hiring. And at the beginning, it's going to be very, very hard because there is no reputation of a business. It's going to be zero. You have to offer, you know, something that is intangible. So you're going to have to work hard to be sure that you have the right team. So as example, one of the good things to do is if you have a name behind that. So you have a chef that is well known in the area, and that person, you know, is very reliable. There's a lot of people who want to work with that person. That will be great. So you can get people on that. There's gonna be the guy is gonna come, and he can make more easily a team, you know, and the same on the front of the house. So be sure that you hire professional guys to start getting the head of this, because that's the only way that you can get those referrals. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What do you think, Jeff?
Yes, referrals. I love referrals because you know, another chef will say, hey, this person's really good. Why don't you hire them? You know, good referrals, because I know that chef is not going to screw me over in giving me a bad employee.
Yeah. Another thing, guys, is before we start the process of hiring something, we need to know exactly what are the positions that we needed in the place and what each position are going to make. What is that position consisted of? So job descriptions is a big part of what we're doing. And the better that those job descriptions are done, it's better to understand what are we doing, understand the cultures, especially if you're going to publicize that demand that you have for people that need it in the place. So another thing that will be like job boards, you know, like we have a lot of companies that come to the schools and put it on the school in the job boards, you know, what is needed. And that's a great resource also for many companies, you know, they come to the school and make the interviews. And we have doing that almost every month in the school, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, I love that they come in and they're looking for jobs.
And they do the interview with the students, and there's a lot of students that work in the industry before they graduate. So that is awesome. Using, you know, social media, it can help a little bit to like spread the words, but I don't trust too much on that. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, people up and down, a lot of mistrust when it comes to social media sometimes. So you just got to be very careful.
Yes. So if you start thinking, you know, how to open a restaurant, there is a lot of people that you need to hire, and there is a lot of positions in the middle, and they are interconnected. So you need to have a whole very good idea of what are those people's, what are the level of salaries that you're going to have, how much you have to offer to them, and what in which conditions they will get, and what is the culture that the company has to offer to them. And then you start moving up to try to find how to find the best people to work with you. No matter the size of your operation, that's something that you have to work. But for me, the best thing is the professional networks. That's the one that works the best, don't you think, Jeff?
Networking?
The professional networking, yes.
Yes, like our ACF, American Culinary Federation type of deal. Yes, it's about networking.
Or the networking of if you are in the industry and you know how to work, I start calling hotels, my friends, my people who works in another places, and I says, hey, I need these people, can you help me? And everybody start helping each other, because this is a kind of an activity that we work as a team, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, like I'll call, say, hey, do you need any help? And then some students are needing a job, and I'll say, hey, do you need any help? And they just a personal networking. Just, you never want to burn a bridge type of deal. You always want to know, call people, talk to people, any of that sort of stuff. Just networking.
And also I have I receive a lot of calls during the month, of restaurants, of chefs that says, hey, Chef Pablo, I have this person that says that he works with you, or he was your student. What you can tell me about that person? And we cannot lie, isn't it? You have to say, yeah, I know him. If you know him, you're going to say, I know him. This is like this, and this is my perception that I have of that person. It has good. We're always going to do positive comments. We're never going to get into negative comments. So if they says, what about negative things about that? I will never tell negative things.
I will never either.
Because that is, for me, is not an ethic thing to do, but I will tell the good things about that person. And I will say, yes, it has ethics and things like that. Or if there is something that it's like student that was not good and says, and I says, no, I'm the wrong person. You cannot talk to me because I cannot take too much. I cannot talk too much about that person, and I don't get into details. It makes sense. So there is that kind of referral, and that's how it works in the industry. But if I call a chef, and as example, if I call the Driscoll and says, the person says, I will work in the Driscoll, and I call the chef, says, chef, I know that this person worked with you, and the chef says, yes, but I cannot tell too much of this person, thank you, and that's okay. So something is wrong. It's a red flag, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to start figuring out what's going on.
You kind of got to read between the lines.
And then we have to investigate it more, what's getting up and all that, and let do a little more work and who this person is and all that. Referrals also is very nice on the networking, because if like servers, they know other servers, and they come and if you finish hire, then they think that they are very useful and they're helpful in the company. So that's helped in the morale, I help the company to bring people and help to build, the culture, and me as a person give me that sense of pride, isn't it? That I help to bring people here to work. So that's something that is also a good thing in terms of the morale of the culture, guys. In front of the house, that is something that is, we use a lot of referrals, so we have to be very careful in this industry, guys, because no matter if you work on the front of the house or the back of the house, you really, really need to work people that has that, how do you say, that has that sense of help others, that has that approach and sensibility, to be sure that they will work. So I always try to figure out, if you want to work with people, you really like to work with people. I want to work somebody that like to work with people, who are socials, where, especially in the front of the house, it has to be something like that, isn't it? So there is a lot of personalities in this, and there is a test of personalities that you can test. You can check on that too. But I think on the interview, you can see, you know, what type of personality that person has, and it will help you to understand if you want him or not, you know. A job description, it's something that has to be written, you know. It's something that has to be a description of what are the duties, you know, and what is the role that that is there, you know, and what are they applying for. The description is usually, you know, drawn an individual organization response, you know, and normally companies do that. There's a companies that are specialized in doing job descriptions, and I will count on that, you know. If I'm opening a business, I will get a company that help us to build all these job descriptions, because they know exactly how to do it in a very way and a more professional way. And always, you know, the cost of hiring a professional is less than the cost of hiring an ignorant. Don't you think, Chef?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So this the job description is a job analysis that, you know, carefully examines the job and determines what are their duties, and also it's going to check what type of person is ideal for that job. So we can really target very well the group of people that we want to apply for that job description, and so we don't have to lose time. Let me tell you, in this industry right now, you apply, especially right now in the United States, as soon as we open this, you're gonna say, I need a helper, and you're gonna have hundreds of applications. Hundreds. It's gonna be a tedious process. So it has to be very careful to be sure who you're hiring to. Yes, Chef?
Oh, no, I'm just reading. Sorry, I'm just reading on the chat.
So if we're gonna get to the whole job descriptions, it should be, you know, qualifications and the skills, you know, special demands if they need to go. If like you know, if you're in front of the house, you need special skills, you know. We need to talk about a little bit the salary. We don't talk about numbers, but if we're gonna say if it's hourly, you know, if it's an hourly job, or if we're gonna have a contract. We're going to talk about a little bit of the goals and objectives that we have in the company, a little employer information, you know. They need to have a job title, you know, what you're doing for, and who is this position is gonna depend from. So that kind of things, you know. We also can do, you know, what kind of person and temperament we want of that person, you know. It's a little bit of both. So the person, and it has to be very short, because right now, in short words, the person who is really need to know exactly if you like it or not. You don't want to read long things, you know. It's the same thing what you're gonna do with when you have to do the resumes. Right now, resumes have to be short. Can it be more than 1 page? It has to be 1 page and a half, 2 pages maximum. And because nobody has time to read right now long decisions, you have to condense all the information. Same as the job description has to be the same thing. A lot of things that need to put in the job description: the location, where it's gonna be, where it's based, where it's gonna work, isn't it? What's the responsibilities? What's the immediate boss? Who has that person to report to? They need a relationship with other people in the organization. Who, if anybody has to report in the jobs, you know, the qualifications that person needs to have, and the skills that is needed, you know, and the must things that are required, because in every position there's these must things that requires, you know. And we can put the salary range. You can put, you know, if there's commissions and bonuses and other things that the job has, we can put it over there. So it's going to be easy to targeting the right people that we want to get into that. If you have special demands, like this job requires heavy lifting. Yeah, that's a special demand, isn't it? Or exposed to extreme temperatures, extensive travel, long hours stand, that kind of thing, isn't it?
Work weekends, holidays.
Work and weekends and holidays, all these things got to be put it over there so people know exactly what they're getting into. And then a little of goals and objective. The description may also include goals. The employee should aim for the future. The employer needs to explain what type of personality is better to success in that job. Also, what type of person succeeds on this organization. So there you are. That's something they want to do, On the employer information, should have information about the company and the organization, what does the company do? How old is the company in the market? That kind of thing. If there's a restaurant, they don't need to do that, but if there's another thing, maybe you have to put what kind of company is. Quality management refers to, make sure that, I think on this restaurant, you need to really put, the basics of what a restaurant is and people really understand what it is. So there's things that you can add, like if you want to hire this person, you need a crystal clear pictures of what type of employee you want to looking for. Remember, this is very, very important, guys, to be sure that you have a clear idea of what you want to do. So the job description has to go just beyond just that experience and education, but also you need to understand the character of the person and the ability to work into the organization. So that's something that is very important. So because of that, it's the whole thing is a process. So you have a job description over there, but also that has to be passed to a process of recruiting that including, maybe interviews, isn't it? And then probably you want to have if they pass that, maybe they're gonna get on to explain the person, how to get into the organization and all that. And then maybe probably it has to get into training, because that's also very important. Training is very important. You cannot get a person jumping in the job without knowing what to do, even if there's an expert cook. Don't you think, Jeff?
You've got to train. You have to train. If not, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like as the manager, I'm setting that person up to fail because I didn't train them properly. And then that's more money that I'm going to have to retrain them or try to get them to understand later, and it sometimes just doesn't work out. So training is very important, and unfortunately sometimes training gets thrown out of the door because of we're always in a hurry, or you have a lot of turnover and you don't train the people properly. That is a bad situation.
Yeah, that's completely true. So we have, I see that a lot of moving on the chat, Jeff.
Yes. Training is totally forgotten sometimes. Someone said, oh yeah, there's training. I've never gotten training at Walmart or Lowe's. Nathan?
Yeah.
And did you stay at those jobs long, Nathan?
Walmart I was at for maybe 3 months, Lowe's for maybe 2.
And is it because of just lack of training that you left?
No.
No.
Not the culture was not good, or the pay was not good?
I had a couple incidents, and I decided it wasn't best.
Wasn't for you?
Yeah.
Gotcha. But still, if they would have trained you, maybe you wouldn't have had some of those incidents. It's just lack of training is a horrible thing because that sets your employees up to fail.
Yeah, no. And sometimes it's other persons whose lack of training, and
Yeah,
it really messed the whole organization.
that is correct.
So yeah, so a job description will have a title, and it should be short and clear and accurate, like a position, if you want a line cook, you have to explain what kind of line cook is the one exactly that you want to hire. And then you have a little job summary, and that has to be short, like 2 or 3 sentences about that position that explain that positions. And then you have a little longer explain what are the tasks and the responsibilities. So
Chef,
that's yes, Chef.
so I'm sorry to interrupt you, but something I felt like was important. Someone was saying they ask a lot of questions because of the training wasn't properly, they weren't trained properly. So, in that you just need to ask a lot of questions if you're not trained properly. And unfortunately things are gonna happen because of if you're not told what to do, something's gonna happen accidentally. And always ask questions for sure.
And another thing, guys, the process of hiring, it doesn't finish with the hire of the person. That's a big mistake.
Some people think that.
So you hire and let's get in, and that's it. Hire is done. The hire of the process is take the individual first, make it know the organization well. So you have to put it into the cultures, make know the space where he's gonna work. Who is the person who is gonna work? Introduce him in the organization, make them know who they are, isn't it? And then after you do that, then you train them. Then you get into a training. Normally there is a team of people on the organization that are in charge of that you trust, and they take the person and they will train him and the position. And then you evaluate the training, and if the person is ready to get in, yes. If he's not ready, you have to be sure that that person is well trained before you put it in the position. And after that, you make a follow-up. You want to be sure that the people who was working, they are happy. You to do follow-up is the only way that you can keep a retention, by knowing that you have a cultures that follow up the students and respect, and be sure that your workers are doing the best of themselves. Don't you think, Jeff?
Yes, I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, and then you have the qualifications. What is the qualifications that you need? You need education, you need a degree, you need a special certifications, you need license. Like here in the restaurant industry, you need some certifications, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, you do need certifications.
Like what?
Food handlers.
Yes.
Food handlers is very important. You've got to have that to actually touch food or to serve food.
Yeah, or the ServSafe, isn't it?
Yeah, the ServSafe or whatever.
So
whatever.
the industry has, and every city has their own regulations. So probably if you have a ServSafe, it's easy to get into the regulation of the industry and get your certification. And those, without that, you cannot get into work. And then who are you going to report to? So who's going to be the person who's going to report to you? And then when they get into training, that's who you're going to meet that person and all that, and you want to be sure you understand the whole work. And then the working conditions, if there is any physical requirements, like if you work in the kitchen, what will be those physical requirements, guys?
Be able. Oh.
Okay, guys. Nathan.
You gotta stand for long hours.
Yes.
Sometimes there's heavy lifting.
Yes.
Sometimes there's a lot of heat.
Yes. Cameron?
I was basically going to say the same thing. You just have to be able to handle stress.
That's very important because this is a very stressful work, isn't it? So you have to be able to handle lots of stress. Yes.
And you also have to wear like non-slick shoes and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's correct.
Another thing that is very important to work in the kitchen will be what?
Could you say that again?
I said safety.
Safety, and you have to be able to work with teams, isn't it? You need to be able to work with teams. So you need to be a social person and be able to learn and work as with teams. So this is not an individual work, isn't it? It's a work of a team. And then you can have, a lot of salary benefit, not necessarily the monetary amount, but maybe you can put the hours, the salary, if it's exempt or non-exempt, or you have a pool or part-time job, isn't it? That kind of things.
So a couple of people said bending, kneeling, high pressure, dealing with high pressure.
Yes.
Lifting 20 to 50 pounds. Larrick said it's a free workout. Let's see. So working long hours. So those are all the things that they're saying on the chat.
Haley.
100% lift with your knees, not your back. Like, I learned the hard way in automotive. I lifted a tire that was like twice my size and tore the muscle in my back.
Oh.
So
it's not fun.
You know what is that? Lack of training.
Well,
yeah.
So I knew how to lift it properly, but since it was twice my size and my weight, it just didn't go properly. But always lift with your knees.
Larry.
Yeah.
Eric?
So I showed up to a job interview with a weighted vest on and literally told them that I was like, hey, what's up? I'm ready to work right now. They was like, okay. So I ended up working in the weighted vest and ankle weights for the longest while I was working there. And they were like, whoa, you're crazy, dude. But
It's a free workout.
Yeah, free workout. So that's what I figured it was for. So I was just like, forget it. I might as well get me a workout in, give me some work, get me a little stress.
But I think that was wrong. Because, the process should be more serious than that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I just came from class, and I had just told him that. I was like, look, I just came from class, and he was like, oh, okay, it's no problem. I literally was running down the street to get to my interview after class.
I saw this business with Desperation. There was a famous bar here in Austin, and they have a bad rotation because it was bad management. And they went in desperation and says, did you have some students that you can have an interview? And as soon as they get to the interview, they cook it into the kitchen and put it there immediately, And now what the hell is this, And this desperation. You cannot work like that, If you have desperation, it's a very bad thing.
And then, with desperation, you're not going to train. They're just thrown into a situation. You're setting them up to fail.
Oh yeah, that's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Totally.
So if it's a job description for a service, as example says, as food and service, you have the responsibility for serve food and or beverage to the guests of the hotel, continued effort to deliver outstanding service and financial profitability. Especially, you will be responsible for performing the following tasks at the highest standards, and then you have the task, respond to the guest request on time, friendly and efficient manner, ensure knowledge of menu and restaurant promotions and specials, take guest food and beverage orders and input orders in appropriate point of sale system, retrieve and deliver food and beverage orders at the time, ensure guest satisfactions through the meal service, serve alcoholics and non-alcoholic beverage in accordance with federal, state, local, and company regulations, and so on. Ensure, okay. Where are we? I completely lost myself. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we are.
Got number 22.
Yes. So, let me move. There you are. I think this was, isn't it? Ensure serving the station is well located at all times and all these kind of things that it needs to be done, isn't it? There's a line cook, can be like, we are seeking a responsible professional line cook to prepare food, to accept chef specification, to set up standards for the menu. The successful candidate will play key role on contributing to our guest satisfaction goals, setting up and stocking station with necessary supplies, preparing food for services, cooking menu items in cooperation with the rest of the culinary staff, cleaning up stations and take care of leftover foods, stocks inventory appropriately, ensure that food comes out simultaneously in right quality and the time and fashion, complying with the nutritional and sanitation regulations and safety standards. So you put these things that are just so important, and then you have to put a little bit of what the company offered behind that, isn't it?
For sure.
So when you hire a new restaurant employee, it is important to get it on board and training they need, and to be sure that they really reach the full potential. So that's the second part. You make the interviews, and then you hire, and then you want to be sure that that person is going to do it well. So onboarding programs, they are very important on the companies. What do you think about onboarding programs, Jeff?
Onboarding program, I mean, for sure, you've got to have some programs for hiring process.
Let me tell you, the companies that has onboarding programs, they have the higher retentions, and that is proven. So because all the employees are more engaged, and they are more prepared, and they receive more supports, and that is very important in the way that we handle in this. Then we're gonna talk about resumes, guys. So resume is a very important part of the hiring process. So we have on one side, the job descriptions, and then what you as a person has to offer to the company. So there you are. So you have to put a resume, which is the other side of the demanding, isn't it? So yes, so resume is a document created to use by a person to present their background, skills, and accomplishment. A typical resume contains summary of the relevant job experience and education that that person has. The resume, guys, it should be usually one of the first items along with what we call cover letter, isn't it? So sometimes we put all these two things together, and that it's what we give it to the employer. So guys, the question is, what is a resume and what is a cover letter? Who can tell me? Okay.
Let's see, hold on. Who had their hand up? Abron?
A cover letter and a resume are, the cover letter is basically listing how you could be qualified for the job, like what traits you have that are beneficial for the restaurant or wherever you're applying to. And the resume has your job history, your school history. So on our resumes, we would have any previous job experience, any schooling experience. So once we graduate, we'll be able to put that we graduated from Escoffier on it. Stuff like that. We'll have our name and like sometimes it'll ask like 3 qualities that we have, stuff like that.
That is completely correct. Thank you so much. Lyric. Lyric, you have something to say?
Yeah, a cover letter is basically what is it? A summary of the resume. And what they see first is usually the cover letter if you send one with it. The resume is just all your skills that you've done, all your jobs that you've done, and your certification and stuff like that.
Let's see. Sean wrote, resume tells your experience, skills, and education. The cover letter tells the name and position applying for.
Yes, another thing that we're gonna see is the resume is a little document that we go and we target it to that position that we are applying. That's a cover letter, and the resume is just the description of what and your professional experience and all that.
Now, can I talk about my resume real quick?
Yes, Jeff.
Okay, so I have like a couple of different resumes. It depends on what kind of job I'm going for. If I'm going, I have a resume for education, like as an instructor. So I spotlight all my education portion first and then kind of line it up so where it's more education based. And then I have if I was going for an executive chef position, I have another resume set up so where it spotlights my cooking portion of it and kind of, so depends on what resume or where you're going. You need to kind of tailor your resume in your cover letter to that position.
I'm completely with you, agree, Chip, and I also has 2 resumes, same as you exactly. So yeah, that's developed with but if you start with in your career, it's hard to have that. So you have to be sure
for sure.
What are you applying and how are you gonna do it? So resume. Sure. So a typical resume, yes. So we talk about this. So a resume is a formal document that a job applicant creates to itemize his or her qualifications for that position. A resume is usually accompanied with a customer cover letter in which the applicant or client expressed an interest in the job that the company is offering and put in the most relevant specifics that will go with that job. American job coaches, guys, insist that the resume should be only 1 or 2 pages long maximum. In other countries, out of the United States, they expected more longer, because you have to put the summary of your the last maybe 10 years of work or things like that. So maybe it's gonna take a little more of a space, and they want to do more specifics about your qualifications on seminars and courses and things that you take. So it takes a little longer. Here in America, very short. While a cover letters is a 1-page summary of your work experience, background relevant to the job that you're applying to. The resume or the CV calls curriculum vitae, is a Latin word, isn't it? So the resume or CV is a longer academic diary that includes your experience, certificates, and publications if you have all kind of that kind of things. The difference are a cover letter is just 1 page maximum. 1 page, not 2. It cannot be longer. The resume is used for job hunting. The cover letter is tailored to a specific job that you're applying, and it should be very, very short. What I include in a resume? You have your full name, your contact information, you know, and if you are living out of the city, maybe what, if you are out of the city, you need to have your address, your email, your phone, isn't it, over there? If you have a title, you have to put the professional title, you know, like I'm a certified executive chef, I put it that, you know. I have a bachelor's degree in management, that will be something that I will put it there, isn't it? If you have research interested, your education, where you come from, if you have do publications or something, you can do that. Now today there's a lot of that, you know, if you do bloggers and things, you will put it over there, your experience job, and you have to put from the last job that you have down maybe 2, 3 jobs. What else? If you have conferences or courses, your skills, your certificates, language, if you speak languages, you know, memberships, if you have memberships, you know, like I'm a member of the American Culinary Federation, I'm a member of this and that and that. And references. References are very important on a resume, don't you think, Chef?
Yes, references are, for sure.
Because we're really using reference on this. If I have a resume that has no reference, maybe I don't go to that. I really want to know.
Chef, can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
Some people are asking about how long the resume should be. No more than 2 pages. You really want 1 page, but
Yes.
no more than 2 pages. Just because it could get lost, you know, all sorts of things. And a lot of times we're looking at resumes when we're busy. And sometimes, you know, if you have too much stuff, you know, it's not going to be looked at.
And I'm gonna pass a video exactly we're talking about this, Jeff.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, let me go. Give me a couple of minutes and I'm putting right now on the.
No problem. Take your time. All right, while he's doing that, where the videos are located, if you get on the portal and once you get on the portal, you'll see like it says day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. You'll see those kind of lined up down at the end of the portal or for that week. If you click on day 2 or day 3 or day 4, there's a video, a video link that will take you to YouTube, and you can watch the video of the class. So if you missed something or needed something, you can always watch it.
So guys, there you are. Okay. Can you see the
Yes,
the
it's,
screen? Okay.
it's just now pulling up.
Okay.
How long should your resume be? It depends. While it's important to detail the companies you've worked for and your experience, what matters most is that you provide the information an employer is seeking in a concise and direct manner. A brief summary of who you are and why a company should hire you must stand out, preferably in the top quarter of the page. Beyond that, entry-level and some higher-ranked positions don't merit a resume longer than 1 page. Senior execs or people with many accomplishments may want to go longer,
but most experts say 2 pages is the maximum. Remember, hiring managers look at dozens of resumes, and many don't have the patience for something longer than 1 page. List your credentials, but limit the fluff that just fills the space. Use a standard font like Times New Roman in a readable size, typically 12 point. Word software will usually work, but remember, PDFs cannot be altered during transit. It's also best to name your file yournameresume ... so HR will always be able to find it. Finally, buzzwords that companies list in their job ad are important because many scan for them in resumes. If they're missing, the resume may never be seen.
There you are. And I have another one that I want to show you also, guys.
And yes, please don't forget about your check your knowledges and make sure your resume is sent in tomorrow. Okay, those are both due tomorrow. So the check your knowledge on the portal and the resumes.
That's correct.
But I've got about.
Let's talk about 3 big keys about the resumes. Do's and
Okay. There you go.
There you go, it's sharing.
Okay, can you see the screen, Jeff?
Yes, now we can.
Okay.
don'ts, but really great techniques. And I'm going to get into some really good detail here about what you should be thinking about as you write your resume and where this came from. I don't know if some of you caught it. Yesterday, I did a morning talk show, one of the popular morning TV shows called The Jam in Chicago. They're going through Jobs Month in September. The producer called me a week or so ago, wanted me to come on the show, which is tons of fun. I love doing the morning talk shows. And he looked at me and he said, hey, we've got Jobs Month going on. My executive producer told me I needed to call you. I looked at your stuff. You talk about everything. Is there anything in particular that you want to speak to our audience about? And I said, yeah, resumes. People hate writing resumes. It's terrible. It's difficult to do. People, have lots of problems articulating themselves in the best light. Let's talk about that. He said, great, give me 3 points. So I did. Now, I talked about them yesterday over a maybe 3 or 4 minute clip, but today you're going to get tons of detail on them. Let's get rolling. The first thing that I want to talk about with resume writing is you need to know how someone looks at your resume. How somebody looks at your resume. Now, a lot of you that have been following me for a while, I got a lot of stuff out there on resumes. We've got videos. I've got a great webinar. I've done a number of other special things related to the resume, but resumes are not read left to right and top to bottom. People don't read resumes like they read a book. Keep in mind what the employer is going through, or probably the recruiter or some human resource official is opening up a resume, looking at it very, very, very quickly. The first place their eyes go is to the top center of the resume. They're just trying to get a feel for who you are. So I want to talk about what that means for you. If their eyes go to the top center of the resume initially, it's like your smile. It's like the first thing that they see, are you smiling, beaming bright, saying you are going to love looking at my resume, or are you going to fall flat? And I'm going to show you a few samples of what the top of a resume can look like. But this is really important that you grab their attention first. So top center, top center, top center. You need to be thinking about what is that going to look like. Now, this is so critical. I want to spend a lot of our talk today on what to do, what not to do. First thing, let's talk about what not to do. What not to do. Under no circumstances, it doesn't matter if you're a college student or a pro, do not include an objective statement. I have absolutely no idea where objective statements came from. None, mind you, because it would never make sense to me at any point in our existence why anybody would put something that they want on a document intended to show what you offer. So an objective statement is typically what is your objective in seeking this job, in your career, whatever it might be. There's no place anywhere in the resume for that. There are other vehicles that you could use, the email or the cover letter or some other things, but definitely no objective statement. And for both of you, students and professionals, your education should also not be the first thing somebody sees. They'll get to it soon enough. Even if you're a college student, resist the temptation to put your education at the top. Your degree is not a voucher to anything anymore. You need more. Employers are looking for more, so you got to give them more up front before they get to your education. The other thing that you shouldn't do is don't go right into the current company that you are working for. So I'll explain in detail why we don't want to do this, but if this is your place to shine and show them who you are in all your glory, at least at a summary level, starting with where you're currently working is just going to answer the question, where are you now? And then they're going to have to look through the rest of the resume to figure out who you really are. So don't put your company in there. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'll give you some more clarity on that. Don't put tables. Don't put tables anywhere in your resume, but especially not at the top. Especially not at the top. Tables are boring. They oftentimes don't include the right information. Applicant tracking systems don't like them. So don't put tables up at the top. And whatever you do, and nowhere in the resume, but especially not at the top, should you be putting any opinions about yourself. So these are things like those meaningless buzzwords that say that you are detail-oriented, a strong communicator, a leader, or whatever it is that you think you are and may very well be. But on a resume, you need evidence to back that up. So don't put those words anywhere. We want you to put evidence inside the resume so that you can show the employer that you are a detail-oriented person, great leader, organized, or whatever it might be. So those are things that I don't want you to do. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about conceptually what's going on at the top of the resume. Some people think, well, I need to have a lot of white space there. It's more pleasing on the eye. People have a difficult time if there's a lot of text there, skimming the text. And I've been told that I should list my skills at the top and all of that stuff. Now, let me answer a few of these for you very specifically. I want to actually show you a little something about skimming. And I thought this might be a pretty decent way to do that. Look at this sentence. I bet it doesn't take you but a mere 2 seconds to read that. Or that. Can you make that out? If you can make that out, give me a hey in the chat or something. Say whatever you want. But I'm guessing that you can read that sentence, no problem. Absolutely, absolutely no problem. So imagine, let me go back to my face for a second. I'm assuming you can read that. Imagine what a trained recruiter can do with a few seconds when those words are spelled correctly and they see hundreds of resumes a day in, day out for years and years and years. So you guys get my point. If I know what I'm looking for and you are giving me the right kind of context to frame it, I can pick that up in a nanosecond, So trust me when I tell you, this is what I'm talking about. And now imagine these samples I'm going to show you. And I want you to just for a second, think about how you feel, just about the way they look and the content that you're going to see. Let me switch back here. But let's take a look at John Smith. What do you know about this guy? He's a senior project manager. See all that other stuff? Look at all that. To me, those 3 words he put there, senior project manager, was really all I needed to know. It was all I needed to know, because all that other stuff below is stuff that any project manager would know, especially a senior project manager. I already know that, so I wouldn't even spend any time looking at it. What about my girl Jane here? Look at Jane's profile. So in Jane's instance, now I want you to also cut me some slack here, because I had to frame these together, and I made the font bigger at the top because I had more real estate to do that. But assuming that all of these were the same font, and you took a look at Jane's profile, look at her. So when I look at this, I can see senior project manager on the left, information technology, Fortune 500, financial, healthcare, software development, 500K, 2 mil, 525. I could get all of that in 1 or 2 seconds, and I know I am going to absolutely love looking at this resume. Now, below that, she has this core competencies paragraph, if you see that. Notice how in John Smith's case, with the table, I just listed all the exact same 12 things. Now, here's the interesting part. In John Smith's case, I just blew by it. In Jane's case, I held Jane up at the top because I really wanted to kind of soak in that first paragraph, because it looked like the way the text reads is that she's got rich words in there. I can already tell there's more factual words and interesting words rather than those buzzwords in there. The second paragraph, I want to go back to me. The second paragraph in the Jane Doe one, where she had the 2 little paragraphs, I wouldn't even have read that. That's okay, that's not the point. She already had my attention. And she had laid the foundation, which if I would have read the second paragraph, would have made the second paragraph believable to me. John Smith, he didn't do any such thing. He gave me nothing, so I have to go by that. So now he basically wasted 2.5 inches of his resume, telling me nothing. Some people, however, might read Jane's second paragraph with the core competencies. They might look to see, does she have anything out of the ordinary? But you know who's going to read that paragraph 100% of the time? The computer. The applicant tracking system. Remember, resumes are not solely for people. They are for, hopefully, people. That's what the goal is, to get them to the person and then to wow them and then to get the interview. But also, a lot of you are going to have to get them past the applicant tracking system. Well, the applicant tracking system is going to pick up the second paragraph of the second example, Jane's example. The applicant tracking system is not going to recognize the bullets in the hidden table that's inside the Microsoft Word doc that you looked at. So applicant tracking systems don't like tables. They don't like graphics. They don't like acronyms. They don't like a lot of these things. The research has shown this. And a lot of the tools that are out there support this and educate us on that. So my experience of looking at over 500,000 resumes tells me the second one works more effectively. My informal interviews with hundreds of companies who are my clients tell me that. The surveys that we run with side-by-side samples of resumes and ask people to choose the preferred format tell me this. And the applicant tracking system tells us this. This is why the top center of the resume is so important. And if you think for 1 second that you are repeating yourself, Jane Doe put together a profile that immediately got me excited, gave me a frame of reference for what I'm about to read, and she put my bias on the positive side because now I'm excited. John Smith, on the other hand, put me to sleep, and it's you know, when I have to go through all these resumes, if I'm a human resources person or a recruiter working for a company, I'm getting all these. It's not exciting to me. I'm not in a great mood when I get down to the rest of your resume. But Jane gets the benefit of that. So you get to control the narrative. Plus, for all of you career changers, For all of you that are staying within the same types of jobs, but maybe you want to get back to your roots or something that you did 3 years ago or 8 years ago, you can pull a lot of this stuff forward. This is why it's so important to have a career profile. You get to say whatever you want to say up top. So the top, center, stay away from those things that I told you to avoid. And this is more in line with what I would do at the top center. All right, let's talk about point number 2. There are lots of formats that are out there, and I favor, always have, always will favor the chronological format. And I guess technically, specifically, I mean the reverse chronological format for the work experience section of your resume or the professional experience section, whatever it may be. That simply means you've got the company name at the, kind of the top left of that section. Then maybe you have a little line or two about what the company does and what you're doing within the company. Then then your title, and then your responsibilities, and then your previous title and those responsibilities, and so on. And then the next the further back you go in time, those companies list those out in order as well, so that your first company or the longest ago company that you have on your resume, whenever you decide to cut your resume, is at the bottom. There are other types of resumes. You guys have probably seen them or heard of them, the skills-based resume or the functional resume. The skills-based resume highlight those features you have. So in John Smith's example, where he has project management or quality assurance testing or whatever, he might call those out and then highlight the companies that he worked at, where he actually gained those skills. The reason that those styles, those layouts are ineffective is, number one, the second question that an employer has after who are you is where are you? First, think about it. I know a lot of you are senior people. You're in my programs, you're in my community, you follow me, you email me, and you comment on my stuff. And I know you're in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s. And a lot of you are hiring people. Think about when you get a functional resume. What's the first question you want to know? Where are they now? Or where were they most recently? And it's very difficult to tell. So employers, hirers, HR people, recruiters, whoever it is, they like to see that chronological order. Shows them the evolution. The other thing that the skills-based or the functional-based resumes do is they put suspicion in the mind of the recruiter, like you're trying to hide something from me. As a matter of fact, I kid you not, when I get a functional resume, the first thing that goes through my head is I now start looking at what are they trying to hide. That's actually where my attention goes. So think about that. You've now put me in a position where I'm looking for something bad, like a gap in an employment. I don't mind if you have a gap in employment. Show me where it is. So just really, really stick to the chronology. It's much easier. It's much easier for everybody to follow. Now, third point that I want to make is about the way in which you articulate yourself in the bullets themselves or the sentences that you write, whether it's in the career profile, or I also recommend a career highlight section for those of you that have the Andy Lasavita template. But I also want you to focus on your accomplishments and your benefits. And I'm going to give you a little sample here on the PowerPoint here of what I mean. But employers, and I say this a lot in my resume writing programs, that it's not just good enough to show them what you did. Employers want to know what you did, but they really want to know what happened as a result of what you did. What happened as a result of what you did? So let me give you an example. I'm going to flip back here to the screen, and let's leave Jane and John here. So if you manage the customer service department with 10 employees, I see a lot of resumes that say, I manage the customer service department with 10 employees. What doesn't this tell me? Are you a good manager? Do your people get promoted? Do they love you? Actually, are your customers happier? Have you done anything to streamline those processes or whatever? So this probably has some place on the resume. It could probably be broken up. It could be buried. It could be up in summaries. But I would much rather see a bullet that said something like, I raised customer satisfaction 33% by designing and implementing processes that reduced time to answer customer inquiries by half. I put something in place. I put something in place that made our customers a lot happier, because it only takes 2 minutes to get back to them, or they only have to stay on hold 2 minutes, and I can answer the question in 2 minutes instead of 8. So these are the kinds of things that I think are very, very important for you to get onto your resume, whether you're putting them in the highlights section, which you should be, or in putting them in the professional experience section, which you should be. So if you focus, kind of the do's and don'ts, if you focus on making sure that the top center of your resume sings and gets people excited to read it, you make sure that you lay it out in a great format, chronologically, that's easy for them to see what hopefully is a nice career evolution for you. And there's tons of ways we can handle all your exceptions. And I've got a video out there on every single one of them, so you can find it, whatever your issue is. And the third thing that I would do is I'd make sure you're focusing on your accomplishments and your benefits in addition to what your responsibilities are. All right, hope you enjoyed that. There's no way I was getting all that in 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever my little TV segment was yesterday, but I wanted to bring tons of detail on them. Let's get rolling. The first thing that I want to talk about with resume writing.
So, so guys, I found this video that was so interesting from a professional that is in charge of recruiting companies, and how they see and how they do this process. So I think it was, I hope you enjoy it, because it was very, very educational in the way that build it. You know, maybe you don't have such big resumes, but even in a short way, you know how they look at and how you can do it.
I actually learned a little bit from that. That was good.
Guys, did you have any questions? Did you learn something today?
People are saying informative. Yes, learned a lot.
So that was a resume. So now we're going to the cover letters. I want to show you how a cover letter is. Let me go there. This is very short.
And people are saying you might have to change some things on your resume. That's fine. It's a, you know, this is, we're learning, and this is the process.
Yeah, I hope I help you to understand better.
But if you sent one to me, we're still, it's a living document, right? So you just keep refreshing it and making it better and better.
It's loading right now. Give me a couple of minutes and it will be there.
No problem.
Okay.
I don't hear the volume, Chef.
Okay, Jeff. Let me put it full. Let me just check that we have the right volume. There you are. Ready? Better, Jeff?
And it could be an applicant tracking
Yes.
system to allow you to provide some notes about you, yourself, things that they should know about you. So really, it's whatever means you're going to use to introduce yourself. Now, there's a couple of precursors that I want to mention right before we dive into the 4 sentences. There's 3 things that your introduction should do, and I believe you can do those in 4 sentences. But I want to talk a little bit about just cover letters, what the purpose was. Remember, keep in mind, cover letters are from a long time ago when we didn't have computers and we didn't have emails and we didn't have applicant tracking systems, and you had to mail your resume to an employer about a job opportunity or a job opening that you saw or was advertised. You needed to insert that cover letter to introduce yourself, to let them know what it was you were applying for. So they didn't really understand that. Now we have these systems that tag your resume and your name to particular jobs that you apply to. It's much different now. But regardless, you still need to effectively introduce yourself. So regardless of whether you're doing that in an attached document or whether you're doing that in an email introduction or whether you're doing that through an applicant tracking system, there's 3 things you ultimately need to do. And you want to make sure that when you do them, you're respecting the person's time. The average person today, let alone the average person who is recruiting for many positions, gets about 150 emails every day. Somebody who's hiring for a position might get twice that many or 3 times that many. So you want to make sure that whatever you do, you're being brief and you're respecting their time. Trust me when I tell you that most people are moving at such a breakneck pace. Most of those recruiters just want to open that resume, look to see if you are a good fit for that particular position or another position in their company. Many of them are not going to take the time to read a lengthy intro or a lengthy cover letter. So just keep that in mind. Okay, one other little housekeeping item. I talked a few weeks ago about how to build your ultimate professional resume. If you haven't seen that episode yet, check it out on my blog. I put the link down in the notes, but there's some good tips and tricks in formatting items that I addressed in that particular lesson or episode that I think is going to be really helpful for you to understand as we talk about these 4 sentences that you need to do. So first thing, how to address that intro. Dear whoever it is, and I know there are many ways you can figure out who that is, or dear sir, madam, or to whom it may concern, or whatever intro you are comfortable using. I'm writing to inquire about the opening for. So now you're telling them exactly why you're inquiring. It's just 1 sentence, period. That's it. Let them know why. Go to the next break, make a new paragraph so that they now can get the meat and potatoes. This is the what you offer and why you're qualified. And I would just say that I offer X years of experience in whatever your specialty is, and which make me a strong candidate for this opening. That's obviously your opinion, but I think it's a nice way to collect that and give them some insight that you do believe you are a strong candidate. They want to hear that. Then what I would do is I would just add 1 more sentence in that paragraph and just say the top portion of my attached resume highlights my career profile and 3 significant accomplishments that are also in alignment with this position. Now what you're doing is you're creating intrigue. You're telling them exactly where they can find the information that they need in order to know whether or not you'd be a good candidate, and it won't take them very long to see it. And then I would make a break, and then the last little sentence I would make is, I'd welcome the opportunity to speak with you if you feel I'd be a strong candidate for this or any position in your organization. It's extremely important that you add the any other position in your organization. People need help with how to think these days. Everybody is moving so quickly. It's not because they're not smart, but you just want to make sure that they recognize that number one, you're open to it, and number two, that they should be thinking that way. You don't want them to just open your resume and look at it and say, he or she's not a fit for the position that they applied for. You want to remind them to make sure that they think about all positions in their company. It may sound very obvious, it may sound like common sense, but when you're moving so quickly, it's not always common practice. Okay, so there it is. I'm writing to inquire about what the position is. I offer X years of experience. I have strong these skills. Top portion of my resume highlights my career profile and my significant accomplishments, which put me in alignment with the position. I welcome the opportunity, and so on. Now, one other thing you might be thinking, why not put those highlights and that detail in the cover letter? The cover letter's purpose, it should be brief. It should tell them why and why you're qualified, but you want to create intrigue. You ultimately want to get them to open your resume. Most of them are going to be inclined to do that anyway. So you don't need to give them more in the email. You don't want them to see this much. So I recommend reserving that for the resume. Perhaps you put one significant accomplishment, but I think you can do this in 4 sentences, 5 at the very most. So that's it for today. One other item I want to let you know, if you like this type of information, I've got a training course.
I think it's very helpful, isn't it?
Yes, very helpful.
What do you think, guys? Do you think these videos help you to understand better what you're doing?
People are saying, yes, chef. Great information, 100% for sure.
So yeah, that's how it should look a cover letter. You know, very little, very small, not much on one page. It has to be consistent. That's what you need to know. So after that, what's going to happen maybe is you're going to have a job interview, isn't it? If everything goes fine, that is what's going to happen later. They will call you and you're going to have a job interview. On job interviews, guys, let me tell you, there is very rarely that you're going to make with just one person. If there is an organization, maybe you have a job interview with the human resources person first, and then if you want to get into the kitchen, then you want to have an interview with the kitchen or the manager, or maybe more than one person, you know. And so you have to go through that process if it's a serious organization, you know. If it's not so serious organization, there's just one person to sit in that, take a coffee, watching you, and then maybe they have, you know, yes or not, and it's going to be very short, and I will not trust too much on that, guys. So there you are. So on job interviews, the people who do, guys, they have a frame of what need to know about you guys. And
Chef,
yes, Chef.
You're not sharing. You're on the portal. You're not on the. You're not on.
I put sharing information. That's all I think. Thank you, Chef.
Oh, you're welcome.
There we are.
There you go. Thank you, Chef.
So that will be job interviews. But I think, you know, since we are close to to get to a break. Before we get to that, I'm gonna jump straight to the break, guys. So right now it's 12 o'clock. I'm gonna give you a 15 minutes break. We're gonna get back at 12:15. What about that, guys? Are you happy with that? Let's get that break and see you at 12:15 back.
Play a little teen pain.
Excellent attendance today, Chef.
Yes, only 2 people out.
Yeah. I think it's we give them interesting tools as a net chef and understanding of what this process is.
Yes, totally. A lot of good tools.
That chat today was fire out, Chef. On fire, that chat. We have 99. We are in the middle of the class.
I know.
Come on, baby. Come on. Stay there. Stay with me. Good boy. Good boy. Let me clean it. There you are. There you are. Good boy. Down, down, down. Yes. Okay, guys. So I think we are on time. There we are. Thumbs up if you hear me. Good. So after you send all this this cover letter and they send your resume to the restaurant or the company that you want to be hired, that normally if they are using a recruiting, that recruiter is gonna call you and set for an interview, and they're gonna have a first interview with a recruiter, and then you have a second interview with the company where you're hiring, where it's gonna be a group of the management team. Whoever it is, it's gonna get you into the interview. So, guys, I want you to be prepared for that, guys, because one of the things that really happen, especially with young persons, is they go to an interview without preparation, and that's something that really doesn't cost a good. You can do a better effort if you are well prepared for that. So I'm gonna put this video right now, and oh, there's one chat here. Okay. So I'm gonna put a little video of how you can be sure that you get. Can you see it, Everett?
Yes, Chef.
Okay. Is the volume? Okay.
Question. You hate this question. All of my clients hate this question, but it's the question that starts off 99% of job interviews. I highly recommend spending some time on this question because it's going to make a world of difference to your interview performance and your results. Let's get started. Why does every interviewer ask this question? Along with variations like, walk me through your background, tell me more about you. It sounds like a harmless way to start a job interview. It's very open-ended, not particularly difficult.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
I hope you get better.
Really difficult. Everybody should know a little something about themselves that they can talk about, right? From the interviewer's perspective, it's an easy way to get the conversation going. They just want to get you talking and dive into the relevant information. For the candidate, The dread comes from the fact that the question is so open-ended. You could answer in so many different ways.
Everybody, all the children of the neighborhood are in classes, so the internet connection is a little lower. Let me see if we can get better. If it's not, we're gonna have to watch this tomorrow.
Yeah, my daughter's doing class too.
You know what? Maybe turn off your video, turn your
Sure.
video off. No, just like your video for yourself, and that might help. Like just turn, and then there you go. And now try it and see if that might
We just
work.
want to get you talking and dive into the relevant information.
Can you see it,
The
Jeff?
candidate,
No.
It comes from the fact that the question is so open-ended. You could
You don't see it?
No, sir.
Okay, let me go right now. Okay. There you are.
Yeah, we still can't see it,
so many
Chef.
different ways, and people aren't quite sure what the best way is.
We still can't see it, Chef.
About
Okay.
They
1 minute.
stumble.
1 minute.
Oh yeah, no problem. But it sounded like it's running smoother.
Okay, that sounds smoother, Chef. Okay, can you see now right now?
Yes, Chef.
Okay, let me get ahead, and I want to be sure that just 1 minute.
No problem, Chef.
I want to move myself. There you are. Stop it. Can you see the screen, Jeff?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's see if that works.
Okay.
All right. From the interviewer's perspective, it's an easy way to get the conversation
got the
going.
you
They
got
just
the
want to
video?
get you talking and dive into the relevant information.
It's a little choppy, but we can hear it.
The fact that the question is so open-ended. You could answer in so many different ways, and people aren't quite sure what the best way is. What does this person know about me? They stumble, they falter, they talk too much about ancient history, and that's a terrible way to start an interview, by fumbling around and sounding confused, or worse, boring your interviewer. Instead, I want you to embrace this question, because answering this question well is one of the most effective things you can do in the entire interview. It allows you to set the tone. It gives you some power and autonomy in this interview situation where you may otherwise feel nervous and at the mercy of your interviewer. By starting strong, you make a great first impression and shape the dialogue that comes next. Take the time to prepare how you want to tell your story and ensure you make a first impression that leads to a job offer. Here's how you should craft your tell me about yourself response. Think about it as an elevator pitch, a focused overview that's concise enough to deliver during an elevator ride. Your elevator pitch as a job candidate should include your top selling points for the position. Your top selling points are going to be a little bit different from job to job. You want to give a little bit of your personality and your interest in the opportunity along with your selling points. You want to sound natural and spontaneous while also covering the points that you want to communicate to make the best possible impression. I'm going to teach you to outline a standard answer that can also be customized for different opportunities. I recommend a bullet point approach, not a scripted approach. Scripted answers tend to sound stiff and artificial. Interviewers don't feel like they're getting to know the real you. Instead, I suggest that you outline the bullet points that you want to cover and leave room for spontaneity in terms of exactly how you deliver the points each time. Then, with a little practice, you'll find that your answers will naturally evolve as you get comfortable with what you want to say. Once you know your key speaking points, you'll have room to be flexible and deliver differently in every single interview. It's not unlike how a celebrity prepares with a publicist before hitting the talk show circuit. They want to sound genuine and likable, so they don't script their remarks, but they do have an idea of the topics they want to cover, promoting the new movie, telling a funny story about their coworker. You know how it goes. So let's get started with outlining your elevator pitch. We've got a great 3-step formula for you. Step 1, who you are. The first key component is a confident, compelling statement of who you are professionally. The most common mistake I see is candidates starting this answer by going back to the beginning of the resume and walk through their experience chronologically and often in way too much detail. This approach is weak because it leads with out-of-date and irrelevant information, instead of leading with what's most impressive about you right now. For most candidates, this includes a reference to their current position, as well as an overview of the breadth and depth of their related experience. Let's take a look at a couple of examples to give you a sense of what I'm talking about here. So here's our first candidate. Who are you? Well, I'm a recent Columbia MBA graduate with a strong background in the pharmaceutical industry. This puts the emphasis on that shiny new MBA and the candidate's industry experience. Here's another approach from a different candidate. I'm an experienced HR executive who has managed all aspects of the HR function, from recruiting to training to benefits. This is a nice big picture, high-level introduction for someone who has a diverse skill set within the HR function. It concisely summarizes a diverse background. Now let's look at a not so good example. Well, I grew up in Cincinnati. As a child, I originally wanted to be a fireman, then later became quite interested in dinosaurs. I excelled in the sciences from early on, placing first in my 4th grade science fair. You know, funny story about that. Okay, way TMI. Sadly, the interviewer does not really care. And I realize this is an exaggerated example, but trust me, I've heard a lot of people go the TMI route. The idea here is to start strong and grab their attention before getting into the details. Tell them how you want them to see you. Step 2, why you're qualified. Step 2 is kind of like the meat in the sandwich of your tell me about yourself answer. The idea here is to plan in advance which details to share that are most likely to knock the socks off of this interviewer. Remember, your interviewer doesn't have endless amounts of time. Focus on 2 to 4, maybe 5 points that you'd like to make. The goal is to keep it under 2 minutes total. So think about it. What are those 2 to 4 points? There will be more time for detail later, so focus on the biggest selling points. The stuff that you think, if you were the interviewer, would make you perk up your ears and say, this is interesting. This could be a classic reverse chronological overview of your last few positions, or it could be a list of key accomplishments tailored to the job requirements. So let's look at an example here of how you might present that middle piece of the answer. I spent the last 6 years developing my skills as a customer service manager for Mega Company Inc., where I've won several performance awards and I've been promoted twice. I love managing teams and solving customer problems. This is a very concise example, and yours can certainly have a bit more detail. Just keep in mind that the overall answer should be no longer than 2 minutes. What's good about this answer? Well, the emphasis is on relevant experience, and not just that, but proof of performance. It's not a summary of job duties. A lot of people make that mistake, both on the resume and in the interview. When asked about what you did somewhere, you're not just going to rattle off the duties that any human would have done in a position. You're going to focus on what you did that was above and beyond. Accomplishments, competencies, all of it tailored to what's relevant for the job description. Step 3, why you're here. This is your chance to express enthusiasm for the position in 1, maybe 2 sentences. Keep it short and sweet here. Here's an example of one way to do this. Although I love my current role, I feel I'm now ready for a more challenging assignment, and this position really excites me. This is very general. You could use it for a lot of different positions. If you can make it a bit more specific for the job, even better. But something along these lines will work well. You'll have time to get into more detail later, to show that you've researched the company, to show why you're a great fit for the role. The goal in this moment is to wrap up your pitch in a concise, confident way and show your enthusiasm. Once you've got bullet points for each of the 3 steps, it's time to put them all together into a polished, powerful elevator pitch. The key is to practice a bit and find your rhythm, find your flow. You can practice a time or 2 with your notes handy. Then, once you've internalized the general outline, it's going to feel more natural and your personality is going to come through. To give you an idea of how it can all come together, I want to share an example answer. Here's a candidate with their version of the answer to tell me about yourself.
I have more than 5 years experience as a technical project manager at top Wall Street companies. Most recently, I helped develop an award-winning new trading platform. I'm a person who thrives in a fast-paced environment, so right now I'm looking for an opportunity to apply my technology expertise along with my creative problem-solving skills at an innovative software company.
Your version will be even stronger, a bit more detailed, tailored for the particular type of opportunity. Now that you know what you need to do to ace this answer, it's time to outline your own bullet points for each of the 3 parts. and start practicing. Big Interview has more sample answers and a fantastic practice tool to help you make the best possible first impression with Tell Me About Yourself.
I know some of you guys, some of you are gonna be looking for jobs very soon. So I hope these tools, it helps you to do your resume, to do your good interview. So I put it that because I think it was important. What do you think, guys? Very helpful, yes.
Very helpful. I just got hired yesterday.
Nice.
Oh, you got hired? Where'd you get hired at?
The University of Concordia in Austin.
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, what's gonna be your position?
Man, you know I'm cooking food.
Great.
Good.
So guys, we're gonna get a little more tomorrow. We're gonna talk about a little of that process of hiring and training. Today we're gonna jump now what is wages, guys, because I think it will be interesting for you to understand how this process going, you know. So it's basically the pay of wages that you earn for doing a job. It's called salary, you know. It's a fixed compensation periodically paid to a person that has regular work services, you know. A salary, guys, is a regular payment to an employer, you know, and they pay it on a monthly basis. That's what a salary is. So there is difference, guys, to hire somebody for a salary and to hire somebody hourly. So there is these two categories that you can be hired. Employees can be categorized in two things, you know, by salary and by hours. And what means that? Who can tell me what's the difference between salary and hourly? Cameron.
When you're paid by the hour, you're paid a certain amount for every hour that you work. But if you have a salary, they'll give you a certain amount of money every month based on that, based on probably a yearly salary, no matter how much you work.
That is correct. So the main difference between hourly and salary is hourly workers are paid an hour rate for each hour they work, and they are entitled to overtime pay if they work more than 40 hours per week, guys. That's how it works. And salary employees are typically not given overtime pay, but the company, normally they give other benefits. And often more substantial than those, they are that the ones that work for 40 hours. And they pay in monthly, and the salary is calculated yearly, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, yearly.
So they says, so our employees are compensated at a 0-hour rate, which is multiplied by the hours worked during the time that they're given for work. For example, if somebody has 10 hours 50 as a rate and works 40 hours, then 40 hours by 1050 will be $420 a week that person will be working. All hourly workers are considered non-exempt employees under the Fair Labor Standards guidelines. So that means if you work more than 40 hours, they have to pay extra for that money. That normally is 1.5 times the regular hour money that you are giving for those 40 hours. It makes sense? So if I work more than 40 hours, I work 5 more hours that I work, it will not be 1050, that will be 1050 multiplied by 1.5, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, it is. 1.5.
Yes. And I give you another example. One employee work 50 hours in a week, and that will be 40 hours a week for 50, the regular hours. Let me see. And 1.5 will be 1575 over the overtime hours that it has. So instead of have 1050 for the regular hours, this guy have 10 hours that will be paid 1575 because he works 10 hours extra. It makes sense?
Yes, and a lot of companies don't like to give you overtime because that's extra. That's a lot of extra money.
So our employee not often guarantee a set of numbers hours of work per week, unless they are covered by the labor contracts, guys. That's a bad thing, isn't it? So companies don't like to pay extra hours. But what the law says, an hour employee per week may vary based on her schedule, his or her schedule. Sometimes employees have a shift schedule that changes every week, and so there's more flexibility for the employees, for the employer to move that schedules and personals who are working hourly. That's somebody that's working on a regular contract. So hours are good to give opportunity to many people that are working, part-time. As example, that's a great example, isn't it, Chef?
Yes,
and, but if you need a person to be working all the time, maybe you have to consider if you are paying hourly or if you are going to be under contract. Minimum wages, guys, it changes state from states and countries also, and as always in cities here around the United States. Employees must pay to the employees what is the state federal minimum wage, so or higher. It depends on how it works. Before we get in that, I'm showing you this, here in America, that is how it works. So if you go to the state of Texas, the minimum wage will be $7.25 an hour.
Wow.
Interesting, isn't it? Interesting
Yes, it is.
chart. And I put this
That's not that much at all.
Yes.
No, it's not.
So, but there is a trick on this, isn't it? There is, so there is the basic combined catch and tips that they do, especially for the servers, as example, in the restaurant industry. So they have credit for that. So the minimum tip credit in Texas is $5.25. So $7.25 is what you should be paid. But there is a credit for that because you're receiving more than $30 a month of tips. That means the company is going to only pay $2.13 to you by hour. Only if you get less than the basic salary, you should be compensated. And this is something that I'm not sure. It's kind of what? but I'm
Yeah.
going to show you in these videos, guys, so you can see it more clearly, okay? So I always try to put an expert talking about this that is better than me talking because I'm not an expert on these fields. So you have more accurate information. Okay.
Here it comes.
What's up, you guys? I'm Carson Rouse, back with Business Buzz, where we focus on business.
One second. Fix this. There's too much traffic of information right now here.
Someone was saying in the chat, it says,
Business, entrepreneurship, and investing. Today, we're going to be going through.
Yes, Jeff?
we don't see it. It's not showing on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh. Someone said in the chat, it's California and 2022, they're gonna move the minimum wage, I guess, to $15 an hour.
Yes, like here we want to see here in the city of Austin, the minimum wage is $15 an hour.
Yeah.
What's up, you guys? I'm Carson Round, back with Business Buzz, where we focus on business.
We can hear it, but we can't see it.
Yeah, now I'm going to share this.
Oh, okay.
There you go. It works.
Business,
Got it.
entrepreneurship, and investing. Today, we're going to be going through the pros and cons of an hourly paid job and a salary paid job. So generally speaking, there are two ways that you can be paid
Oh my
for
God.
your work. Number one is hourly, where you are paid a fixed rate for every hour that you work. So if you make $10 an hour and work for 8 hours, you make $80. Or it can be salary, where you are paid a fixed annual rate. Say if you make 50 grand a year, you can expect to make close to $2,100 every 2 weeks. In both kinds of ways, you are usually paid bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks, you get a paycheck. That's pretty standard. In today's video, I'm just going to be comparing and contrasting the two, hourly versus salary, and talking through their pros and cons. This may be a bit shorter of a video than usual, but I still think that there's a lot of value here. So first off, let's talk about the cons of being paid hourly. So the first con to being paid hourly is that when the company that you work for is struggling, it's much easier for them to cut hours for an hourly paid employee than to cut the pay for a salary paid employee. So if the business that you work for is going slow, that means that your potential to make money is going low.
You're a poet, you don't know it.
Some employers may even keep your weekly hours under 30 so they can be legally exempt from covering your health care. That's a con in two ways: no health care coverage and less pay. Also, if your day is cut short, you'll only be paid for the hours that you worked. So let's say you work an outdoor manual labor job and there's like a lightning strike like 3 feet away from you and they call the day off. You don't get paid for the other hours that you could have worked. Now let's get into the pros of working in an hourly paid position. The big one is that hourly employees have the opportunity to work overtime. If you're scheduled to work to a certain time and then you have to work past that time, you are legally required to be paid overtime, and overtime has to be at least time and a half. So if you're usually making around $40 an hour, they legally have to pay you $60 an hour for every minute that you work past your set time. Extra money is always a pro, and also there's a lot less responsibility when it comes to hourly pay. What I mean by this, I'll give an example. Let's say that you're a shelf stocker at like Walmart or something, and you have 5 more shelves to stock, but your shift ends. Well, you're not required to stay and finish those shelves. If your shift is ending, you can leave, whereas a salary job, you have to finish your work. Now let's get into salary and the cons of working a salary paid position. Unfortunately, with a salary job, there tends to be less of a separation between your work and your personal life. So if something comes up at work and they need your assistance, duty calls. You could be at a playground with your kid and they say, come into work right now. You usually have to do it. You wouldn't have to deal with this at an hourly job. The biggest con with the salary job is that you have to work as long as you need to, whether that means going over your time or not. So unlike an hourly job, you don't make overtime, that beautiful overtime. So let's say you're used to working around 40 hours a week at your salary job, but the last week was a bit hectic and you had to work over a little bit and you ended up working 50 hours that week. You don't get paid extra, unfortunately. You just get paid your bi-weekly paycheck that stays the same. By technicality, though, there is a way that you can make overtime when it comes to a salary job. If you make under 23 grand a year and are considered an exempt from a duties test, you can be paid overtime, but that's just a pain, and generally speaking, you're not going to make overtime. But now let's get into the pros. When your paycheck is the exact same every 2 weeks, it makes your budgeting much simpler. We love talking about budgeting on this channel, and when you know the exact amount of money that you'll be working with, it just makes it so much more smooth. When it comes to a salary paid position, employers are generally way more lax when it comes to time. Let's say you go have a 25-minute restroom break because you just ate some Taco Bell and things didn't work out well in your stomach. They won't care so long as you get your work done. Salary paid employees also generally get more perks, such as vacation pay. However, this may also be due to the fact that salary paid employees also just generally make more a year and generally have a higher status in the company. When it comes down to it, there's really no better way of being paid. I can't just sit here and tell you an hourly paid job is better, a salary paid job is better. It all depends on your specific situation. So if you're looking at 2 different jobs, one's hourly, one's salary, take into account all the pros and cons of each, the pay difference, all that, and figure out what's best for you. That's what it's all about. Figure out what's best for your personal situation. Thank you guys for watching this Business Buzz video. I hope you took some value out of it, even though it was probably more of a shorter video. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
Okay. I'm not done, guys.
This video presentation is on Facebook.
So we talk about that difference, if you are getting, $77.50 and there's credit, how is it gonna be paid? So, and that's always a little confusion. Even for me, it was confusion. So I think it's a good idea to give a better explanation of that. about tipped employees. We're gonna talk about tipped employees, especially the works who work on the front of the house.
Tipped employees.
Tipped employees, yes.
One, a tipped employee is anybody that receives at least $30 in tips. And what are tips? Tips are a gift or gratuity given by a customer in recognition of some service performed for that customer. I think most of us think of a tipped employee as someone that works at a restaurant, so a server at a restaurant. So what happens is all employees that are covered under the Fair Labor Standards Act have to make, of course, minimum wage, which is currently $7.25 an hour. Even tipped employees have to receive that. But the employers of tipped employees are given a tip credit of $5.12 an hour. So really, they only have to pay tipped employees $2.13 an hour. I'm getting that by just taking $7.25 minus the $5.12 tip credit equals $2.13 an hour. Okay. So therefore, if a tipped employee works 40 hours a week, really their employer is only going to pay them $85.20. So if they work 40 hours a week times $2.13 an hour, that ends up being $85.20. Okay. Now, as I said before, a tipped employee still has to make minimum wage. So what should happen is between the $2.13 an hour given by the employer and tips, hopefully the tipped employee is making minimum wage. So what they have to go home with, if you think about minimum wage, 40 hours times $7.25 is $2.90. They have to go home with at least $2.90, but that includes this $85.20 plus tips. Okay. Now, if a tipped employee does not make enough tips to equal $290 when you factor in wages, then the employer has to make up the difference. Okay. So let's look at a couple of examples. All right. Here's one. We've got reported tips is $43. Okay, and we're assuming a 40-hour work week for all of this. Must the employer pay additional wages over $2.13 an hour? Well, in this case, what we've got is, again, they have to go home. Wages and tips, they've got to go home with at least $2.90. Okay, so here, they've made $43 in tips. I'm going to take that away from my $2.90, leaving me with, they need another $247. Okay, so of course the employer is going to go ahead and pay $85.20 to them, but do they owe them more than that? Is $247 more than $85.20? Yeah, so $247 is greater than $85.20. So the employer has to pay additional wages. Let's see how much they would be. All you would have to take is $247. They've got to go home with an additional $247. So $247 minus the $85.20 that they're already paying, it's going to be $161.80. So the additional wages that the employer has to pay is $161.80. They're going to eventually, they will really pay them the full $247, so that their wages of $247 plus the $43 in tips equals our magic $2.99. Let's look at another example. So here we've got reported tips of $1,189. I wouldn't mind making that turn for me. All right. So does the employer have to pay additional wages over $2.13 an hour? Obviously not, right? You've got $11.89 1189. Scratch that. 1189 is greater than 290. Okay. Now, so the employer doesn't have to pay any additional wages, but do they still have to pay the $2.13 an hour? Yeah. So the employer must pay only the normal wage of $2.13 an hour, or what that equates to is $85.20 for the week. Okay, so you can make $1 million in tips, and the employer would still just have to pay $85.20. Okay, let's look at one more example. Here we've got reported tips of 111. All right, and again, we're assuming a 40-hour work week. Okay, well, so we take 290. That's what they have to go home with during the week by minimum wage standards. Minus what they're taking home in tips. That gives me 179. So they still need another 179 to make up to minimum wage. So of course that is greater than that $2.13 an hour number, $85.20. So is the employer going to have to pay additional wages? Yeah. So the employer is going to have to pay additional wages of, we'll take 179 minus 85.20, so that ends up being 93.80. So in total, the employer would have to write a check for really 179. But that 179 is made up of the 85.20 and this 93.80 number. And that is all about tipped employees.
So that's a great example, guys, of how this works and make
Hey everybody, Ryan Groff here with the restaurantboss.com.
And so the case of this type of tipping employees, normally what it works is they know they will guarantee more than that. So if you're a tip employee, you want to work in a place that you're gonna get more than that. Otherwise, it's gonna be not a good business, isn't it? For the one who was receiving the tipping. So let me go and show you.
Joshua, what was your question?
Yeah, I had a question. I was trying to just ask, why not just give them the minimum wage? You know, the $7.50. You know, instead of the $2.15, instead of doing all the different calculations, and then whatever tips that they get at the end of the day, you know, if it has to do the tip pool or whatever has to do with the servers or however it does, then they, you know, divide it out that way. I mean, why would it have to do, you know, the $2.15 or $2.13, you know what I'm saying, for them, and then at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, then they have to do all the other allocations or, you know, things for the money that they have to get. That's all I'm asking. Like, why would that, you know, for the servers and all that stuff, why would they have to do that and go through all that and deal with all that, you know, headache? I'm guessing. I mean, because I'm not a server, you know, I'm a cook, you know what I'm saying? So I don't deal with tips and, you know, stuff like that. So that's all I'm asking. Like, why would they have to deal with all that when it's a minimum wage, you know, off top? So why wouldn't they get the minimum wage for the hours they worked, and then whatever tips that they get, you know, they go home with?
And I think one of the answers that I give you is that on the people who are working on that areas, like one day the restaurant has a little less movement. So you have the chance to say, hey, you know what, you go home, no problem. And send the people to go home. So these people are gonna get less than the minimum wage, you know what I mean? And at the end you can compensate it, and that is a common practice here in America. But there is more and more restaurants right now that are more conscious, and they are higher in the way that you're thinking right now. It makes more simple, and it helps to the people to understand better the situation, but there is also
They were going to talk about how much a server can make per hour. Now, I like this job. I've been doing this.
Okay, but also there is the other side of the spectrum is if there's people that don't like to work on that system. So let me show you the example.
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, the only thing I was saying, like, because I mean, sometimes, when I was working in the restaurant, sometimes, they, cut some people out, early because, they weren't needed or whatever, and I would understand that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, we would, sometimes stay later than, the hours that we were cut, and sometimes, what I'm saying, it would just slow. So that's why, we weren't needed. So it was, I mean, that's why we had just had to go home.
Yeah.
Jeff, you have an answer for that?
Well, it equals, everything equals to sales, right? So if I'm not making enough sales, I'm not going to be able to pay my employees. So a lot of times I cut people when I know my sales are not going to equal to what my employee cost per day. So I would figure out my employee cost per day. And then if it's raining or whatever else, I'll cut people accordingly to that. But I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It does. It does. Thanks, Chef.
Okay.
So let me put another example from the other side, from the perspective of the person who's working as a server. So if you are a server is a perfect job for people who has other jobs, as example, and they want to get extra money doing this. Or for a professional waiters that they know that they are working in these good restaurants, good places, where they know they're going to make a bunch of money doing this. Let me show you an example.
Hi, what's up, YouTube? Tim, we're going to talk about how much a server can make per hour. Now, I like this job. I've been doing this since I was back in high school, and it's one of the best part-time jobs I've ever had to make extra money. And the great thing about this job is it's very flexible. You work very few hours, and you make a decent amount of income and take home cash every night. So I'm going to show you how I did this week. This week, I made $1,200, and if you average in the amount of days that I worked, which was 5 days I worked, and I worked about 27 hours for the week, and divide that by the $1,200, you average about $43.64 per hour. And that doesn't even include my hourly pay, which my hourly wage is very low. It's actually just $6.20. So if you average everything, I made about, this is just the cash tip. I made $1,200 in 5 days. So I made about $240 per day, and that's without my hourly pay. And so over here, I'm going to show you real quick. If you add in my hourly pay, it comes out to be roughly, on average, I average about $181 per day. And I came up with that figure because some weeks I make less, some weeks I make more. This was actually a pretty decent week for me. And so what I say is my average is about $150 per day. I work about 5 hours in 1 day, so that's about $30 an hour. And if you add in my hourly wage with the tip for 5 hours, I made $6.20 per hour. So I made $31 with my wages. So if you add in my wage of $31 per day, plus my cash tip of $150, it comes out to be about $181 per day. And if you work full time, 20 hours times 620, you come up with $12,896. And if you average about $150 per day and you work 5 days a week and you multiply that by 52 weeks per year, you come up with $39,000. So if you add up your cash tip, which is the $39K plus the $12,896 at the top, you make a total of $51,896 for the year. And that's just about an estimate. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. In general, as a server, you make more money the more that you upsell. So if you sell a lot of beverages, alcohol, appetizers, entrees, and desserts, you will make money in general if you give really good service. So this is an example of a receipt of a check that I had the other night at a party of 5. The bill came out to be $803.01. And if I received a 20% gratuity, then that would be about $160 off that one table. And so I'll get a lot of different tables that'll be less than this check here and a little bit more. At the end of the night, whenever I work my 5 hours or 6 hours or so, then I'll get a tip report from the cashier, and they will pay me my gratuities that are a combination of room charges and credit card charges. So I had a total of $444 in gratuities, and then I had $175 cash tip in my pocket. So when you add those up, it comes out to be $619, and then I have to minus the $188. That's how much I had to tip out, which is a little combination of tipping out the runner, the busser, and the bartender. And so if you average everything out, I made a total of $431 for that whole night, and I worked 5.5 hours. So if you divide the hours by the amount of money I made that night, I made about $78.36 per hour, which is pretty good. Some really good tips that I have for you if you're interested in being a server, part-time or full-time, is to just know your product or the menu, be patient, organized, and be a great listener. And on top of that, always try to take the initiative and exceed your guest expectations. And at the end of the day, give people the same experience that you would expect if you were dining. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, comment below if you have any questions, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed it. And as always, thank you for watching.
Let me get back. Interesting, isn't it, guys? Interesting information. So one thing that, let me share this with you guys. That is also interesting is that the minimum wages for a regular employee in Austin, Texas is $15 per hour, effective since September 2018, guys. Just want you to know. Temporary employees, they receive $13.84 per hour, and that was increased to $15 since February 2019. So there you are. This is the result of the city council decision to increase the living wage. And this is what the city used to say, you know, who's the benefits? And because there was a big fight and they says, oh, the only people who are benefit of this $15 were the teenagers, you know, the work part-time after school peoples, the people who still living with their parents, and they just want extra money, and they work in, you know, a small mom and pop business, and that's the people who benefits. But the real thing is not, you know, the reality is that 82% are not teenagers, you know, are older than 20 years, 39% are older than 35 years, 60% are women, 58% work full-time, 68% do not live in home with their parents, and 51% work for a large corporations, you know. So there you are. It was a great benefit for the city and great benefit for people. So that is what happened. Still the regulation working, and that's how it works. So there you are. Let's see, working hours. In general, our hours working includes all the times an employer is required to be on duty on the employer's premises or prescribed workplaces. Our workers also include all times. This is from the Texas Restaurant Association, guys. And this means that any work that the employer permits, even though the employer does not require, it's working time. It should count as working time. For example, an employee might voluntarily continue working at the end of the shift, or he or she may want to finish the assignment task to correct errors or something like that. The reason is immaterial. If the workers know and has the reason to believe that these employees continue working, they have to pay that hours. Contracts, guys. employment contracts can be verbal, can be written, but we call it contracts. And these are more specifics. Normally, a contract can completely let me see this. Yeah, so contracts, guys, normally there's a use it in the industry for people who are working in higher positions normally in this industry, and this is an agreement between the person and the company. Normally there's a lot and other things attached to that. This definition, it's a legal enforcement agreement. That's what we call legal enforcement agreement. Even no matter if it's oral or writing, the contract lists rights, so you can get sued for that, or you can sue if there's not completed for any reason for any of the parts. So the contracts can include the stipulations regarding the promotions, rewards, terminations, and things like that. And it's very useful for hiring people that has responsibilities of money and things like that. Don't you think, Jeff?
Yes, contract labor. I mean, when I do a contract labor, I don't have to pay them holiday pay. I don't have to, and they're only there for a certain amount of time. So if I hire you as a contractor for just like, and you'll see this a lot during the holiday seasons, people only hire during the holiday season, and you're only hired for December, January, and just, are certain times of the year. So, and once your contract is up, you are kind of leave the job. So it is a good way of, it's a way of dealing with hiring people.
Then you have the salary employee, that is a person who receives a fixed and regular compensation for the services, provide to the companies regarding the time. So you have to complete the work no matter the time that it takes. And it's based on a pay-based annual amount, isn't it? So the amount that is counted is 2,080 hours per year. That's how it's counting, 2,080 hours per year. They get paid not for hours worked, but for hour salary. So an hourly employee is a pay based by hour, has no contract, only pays for the hours that works. Employee determines the hours, and the hours has to be documented. No requires that they give any specific numbers of hours per week. So the good thing about this is you can cut it, send it home, all that things, when it's needed, and you can save some money. How to calculate pay for salary employees? Example, a salary employee is paid $31,000 a year. This salary is divided for the pay periods of the year to determine the salary of each person. So 31,000, it will be monthly, the payment will be 2,583 a month. So that will be 31,000 for 2,080 hours, or 52 weeks at 40 hours a week. That will be the number, isn't it? An hour employee is paid $15 an hour. To find this employee payment amount or our rate, isn't it? That would mean if we pay $15 an hour a worker, that will mean that person will be getting, $31,200 annually pay, which is almost the same as the salary that you have. Benefits. A person who has a salary maybe have benefits, don't you think, Jeff?
Yes. Salary people always have benefits, or have benefits, but part-time does not get benefits.
Yes.
And usually contractors do not get benefits either.
So this compensation is given in a regular basis or not, but it's based on how much money are you making, and and it's many things. It can be, you know, you can get especially salary bonus and pay vacations. You can get health insurance. You can have life insurance. You can have retirement. They will pay, you know. They will give you compensation packages, or they can give you award bonuses.
Kind of like a signing bonus.
Yes, all that can be part of that salary benefits that you can get it over there, guys. When you have salaried, you know, and you don't complete with what is in the salary, maybe, you know, there can be lawsuits for the employees, you know. You maybe have to pay fines, you know. You have penalties for underpaying. So there's always, you know, actions and that go to the judge, you know, and that's why they want to have, and normally they want to have salaries in people who have responsibilities, isn't that, Jeff?
Yes, that is correct.
So, executive chef will be hourly or salary, guys?
Salary.
Salary. As example, the accounting people will be salary or hourly?
James wrote salary.
Yeah.
Avery wrote salary.
They have, you know, confidential information, and there is agreement that you cannot, you know, that has to be kept on you know, on how is that, Chef? That you cannot talk, you cannot.
Confidentiality.
Confidentiality in the middle, isn't it?
Yes.
So, one thing that we put in mind is this, guys. You think that when you take a decision of taking a job, what will be the important thing? That's a discussion, guys. It will be the salary or it will be the culture.
Anybody? Culture. Timothy wrote culture. Someone wants you to repeat the question, Chef.
So, guys, this is when you get when you pass through the process of everything, is it not? And you have to take a decision to work. You want to work or not? You will count. Just the salary for you will be important, or there's other things that will be more important than the salary when you have to take a decision? That's my question.
Someone wrote, I would consider both. Sure.
Lauren, what do you think, Lauren?
Lauren, can you unmute yourself?
Lorraine.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So if when you have to consider a job, you just count the money that they're going to pay you, or you have other considerations?
I still didn't catch it.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Not really. Good reason.
So if you're gonna get
which Lauren?
Oh, the other not the other Lauren. Lauren.
Okay. Sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about okay, Lauren, go ahead.
Okay. So like personally, I would need to consider culture and salary because I'd really need it to be both because I really need to take care of my 2-year-old, so the salary has to be good because I have to send him to daycare if I'm going to be working there. And the culture needs to be good because I have bipolar disorder, so sometimes like the culture is a little like toxic to say, I could get really triggered by that. Like I don't mind like the fast pace and all that, obviously, but it can't be toxic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, and there are
I
some
agree.
toxic restaurants out there.
Yes,
agree with you.
exactly. So I would need to look at both and be like, is this it?
So Trinity.
For sure. Thank you.
Trinity. So guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there you are. We need an answer from you.
What was the question?
If you are okay, Chef.
Go ahead, Chef.
No, go ahead.
So if you're gonna go to a restaurant, would salary be more important for you, or would be the culture? What's more important for you, salary or culture, when you're going to wanting to go to a restaurant to get hired?
I think culture. I'm not really familiar with having a job or anything like that, so I wouldn't really know.
Gotcha. The culture and salary. Okay.
So guys, this is my point, guys. When you have to find a place, isn't it? And you are looking for a place to work. I know that maybe right now are desperate times, and you try to find a job, and the first job that they offer, you can maybe get it because you are in the needs. But at the end, what you really want is to be sure that if you want to get a job, you really want to be working in an environment that is healthy, isn't it, for you? Mentally healthy, that you feel comfortable about that they treat you well, that they respect you, you know, that they pay you on time, all that kind of things. That I'm imagining that it should be important for you guys, isn't it? And that you have a nice group of people, that you feel confident, that there's no abusive, there's no bullies, and that kind of environment that you have to work. Let me tell you, you know, in the restaurant business, if there is not good controls, there's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of problems over there. So you have to be very careful to watch where you want to work with. What do you think about, guys? You think I'm agree? You agree with me on that?
I totally agree with you. The culture can, I mean, it can change you. I mean, just a really toxic environment can make you unhappy, hate your job, have no, you know, just you're ready just to punch a clock. That's all you want to do. And that's not a good way of working.
Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna put a final words on these, guys. If you are open a new business, guys, and you need to think that you need to hire people, whatever business it is, you have to be very careful with that, especially with the salaries. So you have to start out, if you have to pay salaries to people, I will start low, guys, and make them build their salaries. That's how I will do that. So I don't go and straight offering, you know, great salaries. What I will try to do is offer a great ambience to work, a great culture to work, and then they have to build their salaries according with the production and the productivity that they will have. With the employees that go with hours, I want to be sure that I have a good systems that track very well the hours that are working, or they go, otherwise it's going to go way out of their hands. Don't you think, Chef?
Yes, totally out of hand.
And make sure that they are at least pay the minimum wage, and they go with all the regulations that we have for the city and for the states, and be sure that you are paying in minimum of 40 hours. But you know, if you're paying by hours, you have to be sure that if they are not working, send it home, put attention, and because at the beginning, especially, there's a lot of losses, and you don't want to increase that labor hand losses when it's not necessary. So put attention to that. Any questions, guys? So what, guys, what you get from today's course. I would like to hear your opinions, guys. If it was good, if you learned something, what you get from today, guys.
People say it was great. It was a good baseline for how to pay employees.
Somebody wants to talk, say something?
So with starting a new business, does paying this person this certain amount of money help your business? Like you just started and you have to pay this person this much, but you don't have customers coming in and people coming to your restaurant.
Yeah, so you have to be very careful, you know, when you start business, you have to be very tight. So this is the whole thing, guys. I put it in a good perspective, you know. This is when you start a business, you don't want to open the doors and think that the customers are going to come by themselves and waiting for the customers, isn't it? That would be the worst thing to do it, and you're going to lose a lot of money. When you're going to open business, you want to be sure that before you open, there is an expectation of what the business is going to be, that you already have a lot of customers that knows that you are there and they will come, you know. You really want to guarantee at least a minimum amount of customers that you're going to have over there. So you need to have enough publicity, you know. You need to have enough follow up with your customers. You have to be sure that you send, you know, a lot of, if you are working in an area, the neighbor know who you are, how you're coming, you know. Maybe you have to make some radio announcement. You have to create expectation before you open. So when you open, maybe you're not gonna be full, but you're gonna have a guarantee, and then you have to be sure that it's moving. If you're keeping low and low and low, that's gonna be very bad, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, it is. It's gonna be very bad.
So, and then you don't know how it's gonna happen. So when we open restaurants, we have what we call pre-openings. Can you explain what is a pre-opening, Chef? So
a pre-opening or a soft opening, it's a way to just, you get friendly people to come into your restaurant, you know, or like friends, family, to come in and to try the food. And you always want somebody to, and you usually give out like comment cards or whatever else, a soft opening or you know, they just come in and they kind of, it's just kind of I would say a free dinner for you, but usually you come in and you just try just a soft opening where you're just trying it, but it's not customers, they're your friends or family, so they're not gonna beat you up too much, but they will tell you what needs to be fixed or whatever else.
So guys, this is something that is important when you make these openings. You create expectation. You know, you want to be sure that happens. You start bringing, you know, the people that helps you. Sometimes you invite the providers, you know, to come and try your food and see, you know, because this is the thing. If I want to buy things to the providers, I want to have credit, isn't it? I don't want to pay cash the money that I have, so I need to make deals with them and says, okay, you give me the products, I sell it, and then I pay you. That's the fair way to do it, isn't it? So I need to make them, my suppliers, part of the business. They are not outsiders. They are part of the business, isn't it? They partner with you. So when there is all these kind of things, you make them share, you know, you share with them all these things. And they give you good updates, they give you good backgrounds, they give you good feedbacks of what is happening, you know, and at the same time, you create expectation on the area that you're working, you know. They see all these cars coming, they see all these people coming around, and we are social beings, isn't it? As soon as we see what's going on over there, what's all these cars, and it creates a nice expectation. Oh, this is up. This is this restaurant that is open, and then you start hearing, you know, what's going on, and immediately I want to know. I want to see what's going on. Probably I'm going to invite, people who are writers, I'm going to be in the mornings, probably talking in the TV and says, oh, the chef of the restaurant is here to produce this dish, what are you doing? And the guy is talking, and all this expectation is coming up, and you want to be sure that this is working. That is something that happened. When you hire people, guys, I hire the people, and I also want to measure the work that these people is doing. So I normally always put attention to that. There's a tracking problem. Tomorrow we're going to talk about that. I track the performance of the person that I hire in and be sure that they are doing a good job. Like here in my school, I've been working for 11 years, and every year I have I have a meeting with my boss, and they always track how I'm doing it, and we have conversations, how I'm doing, how's my performance, and they measure my performance. They're doing that all the time, to be sure that I keep with the standards that the school has. And you do that, the same thing with the new employees that are coming, to be sure that they are happy, and you as an organization are happy with what they are doing. Chef, something to add to this?
It's all about word of mouth, especially with the soft opening and all of those things, it's word of mouth, getting people to come to your restaurant for sure.
Yeah, so you want to guarantee that there's this opening working, guys. So yeah, it's a lot of work to put it over there, and you're gonna keep watching. It is like a lot of hours, a lot of problems that to solve. A lot of things to organize, a lot of procedures to get through that, and to get to the point that the organization is working good. And that should be working. Same for a big restaurant, same for a small business. You have to pass through the same process. Maybe the big ones has more complications, the smaller has less, but everybody has to pass for the same thing, guys. Anything to add, Chef?
No, Chef. But when you are done, I want could you pull up the portal for me so I can show them where the videos are going to be located?
Is discounting good for pre-opening?
Did you say is discounting good for pre-openings?
Yes.
No, you don't charge for pre-opening. Just pre-openings are invitations and things like that. What you can have at the beginning is, make a special offers, for people who come in. And now, then through the reservations, through all these systems, you can put a lot of gimmicks, that would have, or hooks that will bring the customers to the restaurants, by offering that. There's a lot of things, like what we're talking, like children's. If it's a restaurant called children's don't pay, as example, that will be a good thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Or
it hooked me. That would hook me when my kids were little.
So he said, if there's more than 4 persons, the number 5 persons, it's come for free. There's many ways to do it, free drinks, discounts, and all things that you can offer at the beginning to be sure that this is coming. Can you see it, Chef, the page or not?
No, it still says the end on what I'm seeing.
Let me go.
And I just want y'all to see where I post the videos. For example, if you're going to be gone or out, can you scroll down a little bit, Chef?
Yes, Chef, of course. So, guys, this is. Let me put it on the student. Switch to the rules.
Gotcha. So, for example, if you're going to be out one day and you're not going to be able to attend class, this is where you can watch the video, and you can let me know if you watch the video or not. And I can tell if you watch the video as well.
Hey, let me ask a question. I'm just not sure where do I turn in, all my assignments?
You can email it to me, or you can, just email it to me.
Okay.
Do you want me to put my email address down, or?
I mean,
or...
yeah, if you can, I'll
Yes,
I'll write it down.
Of course.
Excuse me. I got
Yeah.
a question. So where you gonna put your email at? Cause I don't know where your email's at.
It's in the chat. Do you know where all the chat is on the?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to put it on the chat.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, one more question, because I'm trying to see where all the assignments are for the what we have to turn in and all that. But where can I see that? Because I'm not seeing it on the dashboard, or or when not really dashboard, when I get what I'm saying on here, I don't really know where to see it.
So guys, let me put it this way, guys. When we're gonna get to the point of doing the projects that you're gonna do it here in the class, as example, costing sheets, you're gonna click. You see here it says costing sheet on the top?
Yes.
So you just click it there, and they will take you to the Google page, and then you can do it that over there. So let's see how it goes. So there you are. So you see, so they take it there to the Google page, and you just make a copy.
¿Cómo?
And then you have this as example. This is an example of what you have to do. And always,
It's
guys.
not showing up.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was.
Okay,
I was trying to.
Sorry, Chip, I don't know why.
No,
it's
it's
not
okay.
that.
You're fine.
Let me do it again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chef. I'm just trying to get everything situated so I can know everything and.
Okay,
For sure.
Let me go back again. So can you see this? Can you see it?
No, I see you, or I see this like the.
Well, now I see you.
Yeah.
Let me see if you see the screen.
It's sharing.
Can you see the screen, Chef?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now it is.
Okay. There's the screen over there. So you have here, the instruction for the final project, and this is the costing sheets that we're going to start making it, isn't it?
Okay.
And when we have to make this, you just click it there, and when you click it, I hope it's open. Can you see the area that is open or not?
Yes.
Okay, so there you are. So this is a document, that you have to do. So you click there. It's a Google document. That's why all the things that we're going to work here, it's going to be internally here in the school with this thing that we share it.
Okay.
So you have the document that you're going to work here, and you're going to start putting all these ingredients and all the things that you see over here. So let me put it this way. I'm going to show you how to work with the spreadsheets next week, so you can learn how to work with all these elements that we have here.
Yes, sir. No problem.
On these Google Sheets, you have something that it says here on the top, share, you see?
Yes, sir.
The share. So you have to work until this is working, and the share will just click it out.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yes, so there you are. So normally the first thing that you do is you have to put the name of you and your project here on this area that you have here. So be sure that every document has a name, isn't it? It's not going to be a generic.
Yes.
And then as soon as you have your name or whatever it is that you're doing, then you put share, and then you will share, and then it's appear here the emails that you can share with. So, and it's easy to make a share, but you just put the name, and immediately will let you go with that. Let me go and see it. So let's see it how it's coming, because in real life, there you see. So, and you see it here and it says add to, and I put Che Pablo, and I put Che.
Yes. Okay.
Che Pablo, and there is over there. There you are. So, and I just click it, and I say, okay. I'm gonna share with Pablo. And you put done. And then that automatically goes to the person. And on my emails, what's gonna happen is they're gonna tell me, hey, you have this document that somebody's sharing with you.
Okay.
And I click it and I will start checking your work. So that's the only way. So that's why it's important that you work with your emails here and with the information that we have on the board here in the school.
Yes, sir.
Sense?
Yes, sir.
So,
thank you.
Then if you go down on the page, guys, if you go down,
yeah,
you have
click on day 3.
Day 1, day 2, day 3. So let's see.
Click on day 3.
When I click on day 3, you get here.
Thank you, Chef. I just wanted to show them where that's located.
Thank you, Chef. So, and you have day 3, and that's the recording of the class that we have today.
Okay.
So there you are. If you miss it for something and you want to review something, you are going to have, there you are. That is the
nice.
The whole. So you can go check out over there, and you can go move it up, down, and you can go wherever you want to hear, review, recheck it, and be sure that we are doing that, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So today also, guys, I'm going to put day number 2, 3, and 4 of the PowerPoints that I put it all together to share with you. So probably in 1 hour, you will have all that information also on your records, okay?
And guys, it takes me a little bit. I've got to download all the videos to my computer and then upload it to YouTube. So it takes me about an hour to 2 hours to get all of that done. So it doesn't automatically go on there. So if you just have to wait until, usually we get it done around 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it posts.
So guys, I think you enjoyed the class today. It was informative today, guys.
Yes. Thank you, Chef.
Let me tell you, guys, we have today more than 200 posts during the class. So that is fantastic, guys. That means there is attention and there is interest in what we're doing, and we feel proud to tell them, that it's coming good and you're learning and it's an experience. We were happy with that. If you if you have any observation, you just tell us. If you need any extra information that you want to know, you just explain it, and we were very happy to go and put that information for everybody. So you will get it and better. So we want to give you a fair and good information to you guys, and be sure that the money that you're paying, you feel happy with that.
For sure. Well, thank you.
Saying that, I think that we're done for today. Tomorrow we're gonna keep on hiring. We're gonna talking about training and all that areas, what's important about training, and we're going to talk about interviews, that kind of thing. So I hope you enjoy it, and if we finish time, we will do the spreadsheet. Otherwise, we're going to start doing it on Monday.
Bye, guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, chefs. Have a good day.
You too. Bye, guys.
Guys, don't forget that for tomorrow we need to have all the quizzes done.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you, chef. Hey, so tomorrow we have to have all the quizzes done?
Oh, just for this
tomorrow.
Week.
Yes.
Just for, I think it's two.
Just 1 week. Week 1.
Oh, week 1, all the quizzes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Have a great day.
You have a good night.
You too.
Good day.
You too.
Bye, Maya.
So the resume is due tomorrow too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa. I'm sorry. Was the resume the one that I had, before, or was it the one that I had to make for the culinary one?
No, it's whatever you have.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I just started the culinary one, but all my resumes are shipping and receiving, warehouses,
Oh,
and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, I mean, until you get all the information from a call, or until you get into the industry, just give me what your resume that you have right now is fine.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because I mean, like right now, what I'm saying, I started working at Plucker's Wing Bar, what I'm saying, and it's like a mile away from Escoffier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
like over there in
well,
Austin.
you can write Pluckers Escoffier in your position. You can add just a little bit of that, but yeah.
Okay, I mean, yeah. I mean, so do I give my, my whole resume and then add Pluckers? I mean, because, I mean, I just started, with Pluckers, like a month and a half or 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and, this and that. So, do I send the whole
Your
resume to
to
you
your whole
or?
resume. Yeah, send it to me.
Okay.
Chef Dickerson at escoffier.edu.
Chef Dickerson at
Yeah.
escoffier.edu.
Yeah. Do you want me to put it in the chat one more time?
Yeah, if you can. I
Of
mean,
course.
yeah.
Yes, of course.
I'll write it down right now.
Hold on a second.
Trinity, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. So you need to talk to
Hey,
us.
and like after after this, what I'm saying, would y'all help me with my other resumes, what I'm saying, for the culinary industry?
Of course.
Yes.
Oh,
of course.
nice.
And I just posted my email. It's on. Right in the chat line. Were you able to see it?
Yes, I'm writing that down
Oh,
right
cool.
now.
Cool. That's great.
Becca, are you okay?
Escoffier.
Hey, Trinity, you need something?
Okay, I got it.
All right. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You
Thank
have
you
a great
too.
day also.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Bye. Trinity.
Bye-bye.
She's coming and going, Chef.
I think she might be having some internet issues.
Byron, did you need anything?
Oh, no, he's just finishing up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just finishing.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Chef.
Lyric. It's not answering. Okay. Rebecca, are you there? I think they are out, Chef. We can just.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Rebecca, did you need something?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Trinity, do you need anything?
No, Chef.
Okay, well, have a good day. Be safe.
Have a good day.
You too.
Hey, Lyric, are you there?
Oh.
That was a great class, Chef. I think it was good. We have good response.
It was a great class today.